Cameron. Chris.
Also Chris.
Amanda.
Chris.
Frank.
Chris.
Trev.
Yeah, Chris.
We saw Deadpool do a fair amount of cocaine, did we not?
We did.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you guys to do something for me.
Is it cocaine?
This bag.
Well, that goes without saying. This is a podcast recording, so obviously we're going to do a fair amount of cocaine.
I'm way ahead of you.
What I need you to do for me is pair up a superhero and a drug, whichever one you think fits best with the other.
Like what they should be on or what they're probably on?
Well, I mean,
Okay.
I feel like the go-to would be Doctor Strange and any psychiatric, not psychiatric,
Psychotropic?
psychedelic, because
Alright.
wasn't that what kind of created
Mhm.
Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
I'm
that
going
fits.
to propose the Flash and Speed.
Shut up.
You probably really enjoy that.
Shut up, Chris.
And I think that actually
Too early for this.
That I'm pretty sure that actually did happen in a few episodes of the TV show.
What was the Speedy and what was he doing? He was shooting up something.
Heroin.
Ah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
The complete
opposite.
No.
Yeah.
Just
So
on
there's a
that
precedent
smack.
that Speedy was on a downer.
I just
Yeah.
gotta slow down, guys.
I'm too fast.
I think that Batman probably should be on Zoloft. But he's probably on a lot of just stuff to keep him up. What keeps you up?
Like PCP.
Yeah, Batman's on PCP.
Viagra.
Yeah, that's why he sees stuff, and probably Viagra too.
I feel like Juggernaut just needs some like ibuprofen. I feel like he complains about these headaches a lot. Just
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like not even hard stuff. Just like calm down, Juggernaut.
Like baby aspirin.
Yeah.
Be good to go.
Maybe the question on like some anxiety medication.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Who?
Mm-hmm. The question.
Interesting.
Oh, I thought you were answering the question with a question.
That
It
is
is-
something the question.
yeah,
would
that's
be.
very
true, actually.
question-like.
That's a fair question.
Trev?
I just inceptioned the shit out of that.
You know, probably I feel like Spider-Man's probably like on some Adderall because he's like a college student for like a lot of it. So he's probably just like doing Addies,
Yeah.
trying to like do all his studying while also fighting crime and working at the Daily Bugle. But Spider-Man's got a lot going on, so he's probably dropping some Adderall.
Busy man.
Yeah. Chris, do you have a?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would obviously think, oh, Professor X and heroin because he seems like he just fit right into it based off of Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But I like to think...
Everybody's like, yes, natural choice.
Yeah.
We're just rolling with it.
I concur.
Size is up.
I like to think that Captain America's at that stage in his life where he's going to try smoking weed for the first time.
Oh.
I think he's at that age and he's kind of getting out in the world a little
90-something,
bit,
yeah.
you know. His world's starting to bright, you know, he's seeing things in a different light. You know, he's not so trusty of the government anymore.
But
Got
would
that
he be
sweet hair.
would he be fun to be around high like for the first time, or is he
Yes.
one of
Could-
those that
could
you're
he
just
get
like,
high,
oh,
though?
He'd be
God.
so paranoid.
Because he can't get drunk. Would drugs work on him?
I mean, they would have to be a very strong, very
Right.
specifically bred type of cannabis.
Well, but like being drunk is like basically liver damage, and so that's why he can't get drunk. I
Okay.
think he hallucinogenic stuff like
he
that.
could
I think-
stimulate
I
his
think-
mind.
If
I
they
think he
grow
maybe
it-
even more
If
so.
they grow it in the vibranium soil of,
Mhm.
of Wakanda, I think that's the kush that he can.
We call
hook up
this
with.
Purple Heart Kush.
I'd try it.
Yeah.
I actually thought when you said
I mean, if Chadwick Boseman was handing it off.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Cap was getting to be of that age, I thought you were going to say Viagra, but no.
I was connecting Viagra to Xavier.
I don't think Cap needs
No.
Really?
Viagra.
I mean, I think we're all there's
know.
Yeah.
more than any other drug. Most superheroes need Viagra.
Well, I meant the Cap is so chaste.
Proving once again why Wonder Woman is truly one of the most powerful superheroes.
This is absolutely true.
She does
Yeah.
not need it.
Nope.
Welcome to the podcast of Novice and Timm. The crossover name still to be determined now that the Nerdiscool Network is no longer a thing. Still looking for a crossover episode. I'm Trevor Reese.
We got
I'm
some
Chris
suggestions.
Fimbres.
And with us, as always, in this crossover episode are the hosts of the Novice and Frank and Timm Talk.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Clearly, if ever there was a
I
pitch to you guys.
I know. I can't. I keep interrupting everybody. I'm sorry. I'm just excited to be
Well,
here.
I just saw 3 people pick up their phones. As
Yep.
he
I was
saying.
going to say we got suggestions for podcast names. That's
Oh.
what I was looking up.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Chris Lord. I am one of the hosts of Tim Talk.
I'm Cameron Dexter. I'm the other lesser host of Tim Talk.
His words, everyone.
I mean, he told me to say it.
Frank Moran, the Frank of the Novice and Frank.
Amanda Barnes, the novice, usually of Novice and Frank.
Slowly turning the other direction.
I'm a novice in some things, but not in others.
Oh, hello.
Novice on the streets of Frank and the Sheep.
That's right. Exactly. I get hit by a lot of cars. Yeah.
We are talking Deadpool 2. 3 weeks after the amazing, rousing premiere of Infinity War, we're back with Deadpool 2, which, initial thoughts, in some ways surpassed Infinity War. I don't want to say sweeping and stuff like that, but there were times that I was enjoying myself sitting in the theater watching this film and had at times a better time than Infinity War.
And I also think let's for the record, and many might be new to this or listening to these out of order. There will be spoilers not just for Deadpool 2, but we can also safely say Infinity War in this film.
Oh,
Correct?
yeah, I'd
Agreed.
say
All
so
right,
at this
guys.
point,
So
yeah.
consider
As well as
yourself
Thor
warned.
Ragnarok,
All of it.
Spider-Man 3.
I concur.
Yep, all of it. So,
Wolverine Origins.
Yep.
Solo.
Solo.
The-
Solo.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
predictions
The
about Solo.
unreleased 1996 Fantastic Four film.
Great.
Yep.
All of it. So yeah. So just a heads up, if you're a skipper and you're skipping this, then this is your punishment. We're gonna
The
ruin
Punisher.
everything for you. The Punisher.
Yes, yeah, we will spoil
Yep.
the Punisher.
Well done.
Let's spend a moment. Let's everyone just go around round robin. What'd you think of John Barenthal as the Punisher?
I thought it left a little bit to be desired, actually.
You shut the fuck up.
He's
let's
no
get-
Ray Stevens.
Let's
Then-
all right. You know when you got Ray Stevens. Let's go around the horn and talk about what we like initial thoughts before we jump in.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I had an amazing time watching it. And goddamn, man, that Josh Brolin just keeps on doing it for me every single time, man. This guy gets the goods.
Oh no, he was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a fun romp. I have had Cher stuck in my head since I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was a really great time. I don't think it was quite as good as the first one, but I think there are specific reasons that it couldn't have been as good as the first one, which maybe we can talk about later. But yeah, I had a great time watching it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'd recommend it.
I hated every second I sat in that theater.
Told you guys.
Well,
I
now you know
told
how we
you.
feel when we're in the room with you, Frank.
Frank's a
Very true.
Yeah.
Frank's a huge Terry Crews fan. We should put that out.
Yes.
Sure,
at
yes,
the top.
absolutely.
Terry
His
Crews all
phone
day,
case
every
is
day.
Moonstar right now.
That's right. Yes. Shatterstar, everybody.
Shatterstar,
Everybody loves
sorry.
Shatterstar.
Shatterstar.
It was fine. It was fine.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
I think I might be on Frank's side.
Yo!
For this podcast.
We need to separate
It was.
That's why we're
this is the
sitting
first time we
together.
get to sit next to each
Yeah.
other.
I don't like this.
I thought it was fine. I will say I almost fell asleep in it for because you always bring up the second act lull,
Yes.
which I feel like I fell into in this movie. I mean, I think the film fell into it, and I also fell into that dip. And again, I think it's not as good as the first one. I love the first one. But yeah, I think just jumping straight to the ending, I hated the 10-minute death scene. That bored the shit out of me.
When
I
you-
know. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. When you find yourself in that lull, how do you get yourself out of it? Do you just kind of like try to keep yourself awake? Do you drink something?
He does another line of coke.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I told you the story when I saw a drug handoff in the theater, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I seen a drug handoff and a guy who was definitely tweaking out on something sitting in front of me.
Not at that movie though, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
At Goosebumps.
Oh, perfect.
This is
That
that
makes
Fox
sense.
baby.
You said Goosebumps, and all of a sudden, so much of your story locked into place.
Yeah, right. I mean, usually it's just like if I fall asleep for like 20 seconds, I snap back with just like, oh shit, I have to stay awake now.
I feel like if I'm going in sleepy, then I just have to eat tremendous amounts of popcorn. 'Cause I feel like that is like as long as I'm doing something, then I won't fall asleep.
I have to see movies before. I'm like a gremlin. It's like I have to see them when it's not dark yet. I have to go in, and if it is, then I have to go in with coffee. I've traded in soda and snacks to just take in coffee now because I will fall asleep if I'm in a dark space sitting still for longer than 45 minutes. My body's like, "We sleep?
Oh,
We sleep
understandable.
now? Yeah."
This is what you taught me was dark bed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we've been training for this our whole lives. Yeah. All right. Well, so
Well,
we're
I make a
kinda
big
split
event
then.
of like these movies, so I'm always
I usually do.
up for it.
This
Like
is-
me and Trevor took a flask into Infinity War. We got a
That's
case of
great,
beer
actually.
before
Like,
Deadpool.
that's a long movie. I didn't drink any liquids for like 2 hours before that.
I literally made a deal with myself, like Chris, you're gonna piss your pants probably in this theater. You're not gonna get up. You're not gonna miss a second of Infinity War.
Let's
But
be
you
honest,
did.
you're not the victim.
No,
of that
I didn't get up
situation.
during Infinity War.
Yeah, you did.
No, I
You
got
left
up
during the Ross one. You left during that whole Ross scene.
You left during the Ross scene.
You did.
you both leave.
But if you feel like you're in
At
that
the same
position,
time?
why don't you just wear like an adult diaper?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't.
So
My
you're
hips
above-
can't pull it off.
Yeah, or a catheter.
Yeah. God.
Do you cap?
Sometimes
Yeah,
they
do you
just
cap?
Do you cap?
they go in too deep, and I just forget to pull it out.
Do you
Yeah.
cath, bro? Do you even cath, bro?
Do you even?
Do you cap?
This would be like
I cath. What do you
This
guys?
would be
I cath
more-
all the time.
this would be more funny
I'm
if I
in
didn't
Hollywood. Of course I do.
actually know men who go on bar crawls wearing those adult diapers. If I didn't actually know those people in my life, then this would be hilarious.
This actually
and
sounds
instead
kind
of I'm
of
like, this is
genius.
disgusting.
To be
That is
perfectly
just
honest.
awful. Don't do it. Don't tell me.
I don't know, sometimes the line for the
You.
bathroom at Flaming Saddles is pretty long.
I will
so this
never
is-
see you the same way again.
So you'll diaper shame someone, but you won't cath shame someone.
Oh, I know. I didn't say that. I think if you're a voluntary catheter, that sounds like the worst thing ever.
But haven't you seen those commercials like at 3 a.m. where there's a guy who flies his own planes?
The catheter
He goes,
cowboy.
yeah, he's like, oh man, thank goodness I cath, or I couldn't do these great
honestly
flights.
Oh, was that
surprised
I
that
thought that was a
Deadpool didn't
joke.
cross over
I didn't
to
know that
this.
was a joke.
No, at 3 a.m. is like the prime cath commercial time. If you look at
Oh, it's the
MSNBC,
prime
Well,
Well,
That's
I've seen
What-
the ones
and-
that are like, are you recycling and using dirty catheters? I'm like, God, I hope not. No
God.
one.
It's such
But,
a
like-
ubiquitous thing that John Oliver is now like.
Yeah, the
he has
catheter
ca-
cowboy.
yeah,
I
so
love
it's
that
like
guy.
obviously it's in the
Right.
the ether.
But I'm saying that most of those people need catheters. They're not drunk frat boys going to a bar crawl. That I'm like, just take it. Okay, as someone who generally speaking can't just like stand up to pee. Like you have been given the world. What more do you need? You can already just like unzip
There's already no
and drop it.
lines.
There's no lines already. Like you selfish bastards.
It just goes to
Like,
show the great lengths some men will go to be lazy.
Yeah.
It just makes me sad for humanity.
As it should.
Mostly. All right, back to the film.
I was gonna say I usually make a big deal out of going to films, but as Chris and I mentioned before, this is the first superhero film since I want to say, I mean at least since the first Avengers, maybe even before, that I haven't gone to the opening night, and it honestly killed me a little bit inside.
I know. Yeah,
Ooh,
Cameron
yeah.
and I saw it separately
Mm-hmm.
on different days.
Yeah,
It was kind of sad.
it hurt.
why did you
It
not want to
did.
go see it opening night?
I was just busy. I had friends
Yeah.
in town, and I couldn't convince them to go.
Really?
It's really their fault. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm taking all the blame off of myself and putting it on my friends.
Why are
as-
you
as
friends
you
with somebody
should.
that wouldn't want to see Deadpool 2 opening night?
Sometimes I have to expand outside of the nerd circle just to see what the rest of the world is like.
I don't understand.
I don't
think
really get it
it's,
either. It's
What?
really a social experiment,
What?
if
Oh.
anything.
Well,
It sounds like
failed.
it's not doing well.
Yeah.
It's not.
But there was like, I mean, yeah, normally like Thursday night, hit it, the 9, 10, midnight showing, I'll hit that. But like, yeah, with Deadpool, like there was something about, as soon as Chris and I locked in that we're going to see it Friday afternoon, I was like, all right, cool. Like there was no like hesitation. Like I straight up, Chris and I, when we went to see Infinity War, got tickets for us afternoon Friday. I was like, no, that's too late.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I literally went by myself Thursday night because I'm like, no.
Like a real piece of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
I needed
also-
to see it.
I
You're
would've
the
done
piece
the
of shit
same
who
thing.
I said,
threw
you
out
can't
Friday
come home, you
afternoon.
can't look at me, you can't say anything. Just stay in your fucking room until Friday, until we were about to leave. And even then, don't say nothing. I don't want you to give away anything. And God bless his heart, he kept his word. We didn't speak or see each other at all.
Like
Wear a
24
plastic
hours.
bag over your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. No, we're a shroud.
Okay.
But no, but
I,
like,
I never see
Then
opening
you
night
flip the
movies.
shroud over and says,
No.
Well,
Thanos wins.
Amanda, that's because you got to see previews opening. You got to see it before anyone else,
Listen,
like because you're all
I
Hollywood.
happen to know someone who's kind of a big deal in the industry, and his
Yeah,
name is
yeah.
Frank Moran, and he got us.
His name is Tom Cruise.
His name is Tom
You're gonna say
Cruise.
Rob
We're not on
Delaney.
speaking terms right now, but sometimes he sends me tickets. No, Frank got a sneak peek, and so sometimes we get
Ooh.
sneak stuff. I feel like I get SAG stuff, but none of the movies that we talk about. It's only like, want to see this indie darling, and I'm like, they won't talk about that on the podcast.
But which
So I don't
indie
do it.
darling? I might talk about
Amanda,
it.
do you want to talk
It's not
about
good.
Thoroughbreds?
Yes.
Of course I do.
It was so good.
I
Did
haven't
you-
gotten to see it yet.
Oh
no.
my god!
Is it so
Did anyone
good?
see it?
No.
No.
I'm
Guys,
sorry, I haven't.
All right, we'll
Thoroughbreds
talk
was
about it.
so
Anton
good.
Yechlin's last performance, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it
yeah.
was, and he did great.
Hmm.
Oh.
Aw.
We got to end on a high note.
And that does it for the podcast.
Can, can we just go back to cathing, please?
But yeah, we got to see it. We got to see like a nice little preview, and they gave us popcorn and soda and stuff. So then I had to stay awake because they were giving me all the free stuff. So
They didn't
Uh,
want to
so that
miss
was-
any of it.
yeah, that was fun. Well, there were a couple of them. Here's what I liked about our preview, is that there was some idiot like that was talking at the beginning, like what, like screaming and stuff, and some guy literally stood up and went, and he yelled, "Shut the fuck up!" And then he sat back down, and no one said anything after that. I'm like, listen, I'm on board with that guy.
Yeah, that man is my hero.
I didn't
Yeah.
have to do
His
it.
name was Frank Moran.
His name was Frank Moran.
I had all I could stand, and I couldn't stand
He
it
couldn't
anymore.
handle any more of it. Yeah, I
Shut
don't-
that kid up.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, so it was kind of a weird. I feel like a little bit of a weird. You get kind of a weird crowd when you do stuff like that. I don't feel like you get like the general public necessarily. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it. I just don't like.
Was it press?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, because they did a thing beforehand that was like, hey, please go and review, please tweet, just no spoilers and that kind of thing.
It's good
so
to see
those
which
are-
podcast is actually carrying this podcast group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing what we can. But yeah, it was that was really cool. But I hate going and seeing stuff on opening night because unless I trust that the fans are going to be respectful enough to me still be able to hear the movie.
Oh,
I'm old.
I understand.
You get it?
I do.
I'm such an angry elf, man.
Yeah, it seems MCU, like MCU proper, seems to be the last one that is like that.
Okay.
Maybe Star Wars, but yeah, like
Oh, Star Wars for sure.
Yeah,
Star
but there was
Wars I see
definitely
opening
like
night, but, not many.
I don't know if this would have been that environment. I think people would have been screaming over it and everything like that. But yeah, like MCU, it's all people like us.
Yeah.
Like the insane people who want to hear every single piece of dialogue because every single piece of dialogue might hold some Easter egg of some sort.
Yeah, which I love. You
Yeah.
know, I love. The only movie that I've seen where people are yelling and I didn't mind it was I went and saw like a Grindhouse triple feature. And that's kind of feel
Well,
like
that's
the,
part
of
the
it,
way you
though.
have to see
Yeah.
those movies,
Yeah.
is good. But other than that, I'm like, nope, I wanted like a matinee with a reserved seat with, with my number assigned and everything like that. So if they're in my chair, I can yell at them. It's part of the experience for me.
Have you ever been to a Rocky Horror Live showing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I did. I won a contest at one of those.
Oh,
What?
wow.
What contest
did.
did you win?
I went in college and I worked in a costume shop at the time. So we all dressed. It was like around Halloween. So we all dressed. So I was dressed like a lady cop in a porno. And so we went because it's like a sexy cop thing. Because
Yeah.
I was in college and it's like whatever. That's what you
get it.
did. And so we all went. And I didn't realize that they were going to make everybody that had never seen it go to the front.
Yep.
So
Oh,
they
did
do.
you, did you get a V?
I didn't know that they
Okay.
didn't. They actually didn't draw on my face. I was
Okay.
like, oh, I thought they were going to. And they were like, we're gonna have a competition to see who can take their bra through their costume the fastest.
Go on.
And I was like, what if you're? I was joking, and I was like, what if you're not wearing a bra? And they're like, is anybody else? And they're like, no. And they're like, you win. And then I won. So they gave me
So
like
you
free
got
popcorn and
cheated.
candy and stuff. I know. I was like, I didn't cheat,
You lied.
guys. This is gonna be the one that my parents listen
Amanda,
to.
you are my
Out of
hero.
all of them, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
I mean, tell me the patriarchy is a problem when it rewards not wearing a bra.
Yeah.
Amanda, like obviously you were ahead of the game. You knew what was up.
You know,
knew
man,
what you're getting into.
I wanted to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't want to
And you
have
were
all
rewarded.
the other women
Thanks.
subject themselves to such a thing.
Yeah.
So you
I took that bullet.
Took the bullet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
You're
you know,
welcome.
You're a real Joan of Arc.
there was
You're
one
welcome.
woman who trained for months.
Just shaking her bra through.
Yeah, and
She
she,
had, like,
was
an-
looking forward to it. She's like, this is my big night.
She had like a quick release costume.
Nothing's gonna
She's
ruin this.
Like Velcro Harley Quinn, so she
Yep.
could like get everything out. Yeah.
And
So many
before the competition
montages.
even started,
Listen, they sit up on their own. I'm sorry, everybody.
This
Alright?
is
Sorry.
my. She's like in the bathroom beforehand. This is your night. This is you. You got this. You've been training for months. All right. You got this bra quick release on lock. There's no. Who's gonna do better than
This
you?
popcorn is mine.
This is yours, Danielle. Danielle, this is
Definitely
yours.
Danielle.
You got this.
we haven't eaten in weeks. We need this free popcorn. Nope.
Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna walk home a queen.
Just one more life ruined by my breasts. Anyway, at least we're talking about Deadpool.
Yeah.
Thank God.
We are.
It's not like we're talking about like
20
Spider-Man,
minutes
Spider-Man
in,
Homecoming, and
and
I'm
have
just like,
yet
all right.
to really launch into any firm opinions about this
I'm
film.
actually impressed by that. I would expect us to go longer.
Yeah.
So,
Besides Amanda's boobs, what else did people like about the film?
Hey, thanks.
Not much, really.
They had a Snapchat filter that you could get.
Oh
while you're
yeah.
there.
did you use the Snapchat filter?
No, because it was only good for like an hour.
Oh, well, also Snapchat sucks.
Also, this still isn't really what we liked about the movie. It's still not the same.
Yeah, but it was like they show it right there, and it's like it's good for an hour, but the movie's just about to start. So it's like, well, if you wanted to really use a Snapchat filter of Deadpool, you really don't have the time to do anything with it.
Well, that's just silly.
I know, but you know.
I like
Gotta go Fox.
the Passion of the Christ joke.
Oh, that was pretty good. For me, I loved the music. I've
Yeah.
discovered that is the
Music was
weakness.
good.
You will get me to love a movie if you give me a great pairing of a song to visuals. And so for me, in this one, it was the
9 to 5.
Yes.
Yes.
It is exactly.
I was
the
so yes.
The 9 to 5
was
when he's
so
slashing
excited.
people left and right.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
was
let's.
in. I
In
was
the
on
second, he's
board.
like, he's like, cue it, Dolly, or let's do it,
Yeah.
Dolly. I was like, it's gonna be 9 to 5, and it was.
Awesome.
I was really excited about it.
loved it.
It was good. I
Best
don't know
part
if
for
Frank
me.
wasn't super excited about it. but
Yes, I mean, who doesn't
Well,
enjoy 9 to 5?
Frank hates Joy.
That's true.
true.
I am
Yeah.
inside.
Our friend Joy, who you guys took to the screening, he absolutely hates her.
Yeah.
But she's also a big Dolly fan, so it
That's
balances
true.
out.
She made it.
I
Made her sit
think
in the middle.
the opening credit titles lived up to the hype
I
of the
forgot
first
to
one.
read half of them.
Oh man,
They were good.
I saw the first one. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Did they just fucking kill her? Oh, what the fuck, you guys? And I was fucking rolling, dude. I wasn't even expecting it, like remembering it from the first one. But seeing that kind of brought me back to the first time, or the first Deadpool seeing those. I thought it was hilarious.
See, and I was so excited to see because I remember the credits really specifically, and I didn't think this one was as good.
Mhm.
I was like, all right.
But I did like that it was a James Bond riff.
Yes,
That's
which
because,
I-
because
I
you
liked-
like that. That's
I
the
liked the
second way to my heart
animations.
is to make it something about James Bond.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was really cool.
But also, like, I mean, I think what kind of going into this film is what was nice in seeing those credits is, yeah, they are going to kind of dip back into the same well that got them here, but they built on it. Like, it wasn't just more jokes on, like, the only one that I felt was really like a callback to the previous one was like a guy who clearly doesn't want to share the spotlight. But the fact that it was all like commenting on like on the previous scene and everything like that, and not just a sort of a meta commentary about the cast as a whole, I thought was really fun. Like the fact that just like, wait, are we just fucking brushing past the fact that you guys just shot Vanessa just before the beginning credits? All right, I guess we're in it. So yeah, I liked, like, it felt like, I know I'm in the dissenting opinion in this room in terms of Guardians 2, but like I felt like it was definitely, it did the same thing as Guardians, where it hit a lot of the same beats, but did it in a more evolved, thought out way that you get with a sequel.
I adored Guardians too.
Well, then you and me.
All right, I just wanted to put that out there so you felt supported.
The second time around that I watched it, it did it for me.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
cried at the end, actually.
It's so good.
I actually, my boss, he did not like it, and then watched it again. He's like, you know what? It was really good.
Yeah.
So I think Guardians 2 might be swaying some.
Some people just don't like crying in a public theater. Like, what? This movie freaking sucks. What are you guys crying for? And then they watch it at home and then really weep on the couch.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
to be
it.
fair, I was already crying, and I just happened to turn on the movie, and it continued.
Yeah.
So,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna ask a question that had nothing to do with Deadpool, so probably you should speak.
No, no,
now.
no,
Oh,
no,
I
no,
was
no.
just
This
saying,
is
like-
totally
That's
Chris,
the
please.
norm.
Okay, all right. So I had a conversation on recently about this, that I think every Marvel movie gets better on a second plus viewing. I think every single Marvel film I like more another time around.
Even Thor: The Dark World.
I actually like Thor:
yeah,
The Dark World.
he's on the.
I
the
am
very
a
potent
I am a
side.
defender of Thor: The Dark World.
But Frank, as someone who doesn't like it, it's popped up on like an FX, like when Chris and I are like about to watch like Atlanta or something like that. I'm watching, I'm like, you know what? I get a little bit more into it than I did in the theater. So I
I-
think I see what you're saying,
I agree
Chris.
with
Like
that,
I'm
even
actually.
just on your side. Frank.
yeah,
it's,
no,
it's a romp.
Thank you,
It's a romp.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it because it's
Sounds
Zachary
like it's
Levi?
no. It's all. It always seems to be the London fight.
Yes,
I have yet to
yeah.
see turn on to FX and find that it's not some part of the London fight.
Yeah, it's the best part of the movie.
I think yeah. I can't really think of another Marvel movie that I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think pretty much all of them you go in with like usually pretty high expectations. I think that it usually more or less matches that, sometimes a little bit below that. I come back around a second time and having gone through the first round and got my expectations out of the way, and I'm just like, okay, I can just sit back and enjoy this.
There are movies that we've
delivers.
talked about that I know for a fact that wouldn't apply to, but none of them are. That's what I was about to say, but I don't. None of the Marvel ones that I can think of,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Star Wars. Is it Star Wars?
No, it's Kingsman Golden Circle, which can go rot in hell.
Did you like it even less second time around?
I did. I would not watch it again. A second
Okay,
time, probably.
I was actually thinking about that movie today, and I kind of want to go watch it a second time around.
Gross.
Yeah.
Well, this is, like just to complete the Golden Circle thing, because we
Yeah.
didn't podcast about that one. We
No,
left that
I
off
wish
last
He and
year.
I
I
did.
wish we had.
That's why I can bring it up.
But
'cause
like
he knows
I loved Taron whatever.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah,
He's great.
He's awesome.
He's great.
So damn
that was
charming.
what material did not
there are
live up to the hype.
things that I liked about it, but there are other things that I think that one hurt my soul a little bit because I was more excited about that movie than like any other movie of the
That's
year.
fair,
That-
actually.
I mean,
yeah.
it's-
I was so excited, and
it's
it
a
was
pretty
just broke my heart.
Similar situation to Deadpool. Like really, I mean, Deadpool had a lot more hype behind it than Kingsman, but like the first Kingsman was sort of so out of left field awesome. It's just like, oh hell yeah! You could definitely see why. Like, you can see why it got a sequel in terms of money. I mean, in terms of story, I don't know if that was the best sequel story to tackle.
I know that it wasn't.
Well, I don't know. I am only speculating because I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
But like, yeah, like I feel like Deadpool 2 could have, it's either could have been amazing the way some of us think, or complete utter garbage, completely missing the mark, especially without Tim Miller being involved.
Right.
Yeah.
It was nice to like, that was sort of the big reservation going into it, is like, well, it's not the whole band coming back together, but it's nice to know, having watched this, that maybe Tim Miller wasn't as much the glue holding this all together as we thought.
I thought that one of the things that was actually better in this movie than the first one, I thought the action sequences were the fight sequences,
yeah.
the hand-to-hand combat. I thought the way that they were shot and the way they were choreographed was really cool.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
with-
David Leitch.
yeah.
So
I thought that was for me kind of a step up. I didn't remember the only action sequence that I really remembered from the first one was the opening credits, and I think that's why I liked those opening credits so much in Deadpool, the first Deadpool, because he's got like these like balls in the guy's face and stuff, and the text all over that. But it was cool because it kind of had that choreography the same way that the opening title sequence from Guardians 2 had.
Yeah.
You know, where there's this fight going on and you're
yeah.
seeing it in all the different dimensions, and it's you know, moving around like that, in like one, it looks like one like long fluid shot, you know. But I thought that overall the fight sequences in this one were pretty awesome. I thought that Cable, the fight sequences with him were pretty awesome.
Colossus and Juggernaut.
Holy shit, guys, we got Colossus and Juggernaut.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh, it was good.
I was so happy when I saw that was going to happen.
Yes.
It's like, oh, please bring Colossus back, please. Yes.
Well,
Good. How amazing has Colossus's arc been? I
know,
feel like
right?
he's like has like the most like change in his character from when he started in part 1.
well, that's what's so crazy is the X-Men series up until Deadpool have never ever had the success or feel the fidelity to the source material the way MCU has. But they've been working at these characters for twice as long as Marvel Studios. And so that's what's kind of cool about like Deadpool 2 is that this is sort of in the same way that Infinity War is capitalizing on everything that the past 19 movies have built on. Like it felt like Deadpool really is taking everything that's been done and not ignoring anything like that. And really sort of taking advantage of this long history behind it and mining that for jokes. And so it's like it's insane to like think about like the Bryan Singer version of these characters that they first started out. And this is a series that hasn't even had like a traditional reboot. Like
Yeah, it's true.
technically you can, but Days of Future Past sort of blew that out of the water with the connection of the two cast and saying that these are the young versions of these characters you've already known and we're just filling in gaps. So 18 years of storytelling. It's impressive that they can still do this stuff. And yeah, we got Juggernaut and Colossus, the truest version of X-Men characters that we've seen in an X-Men film. It's insane.
Now, what do you think, though, Frank, of because we really didn't talk too much about it. I was like, gotta save for the cast. So you were excited to see Juggernaut, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, Vinny Jones, who's going to top him?
Yeah.
You know, so from
Vin Diesel.
Vinny Jones' Juggernaut will go down in history.
I'm the Juggernaut,
Yes.
bitch.
But so did you like? I guess I was. All right. Well,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you like if you were disappointed by the way that he was portrayed in the film.
No, I
like
felt
what
he
you
was-
were picturing.
He was better than what I thought it was going to. That I from X-Men: The Last Stand for sure. So
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, huge improvement.
yes, definitely for that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's there to be just a little twist that they throw in. There's not really much like development or anything with him. He's just a Juggernaut who comes in and just smacks some things up. And then he had a really cool fight scene. But in terms of like, wow, awesome to see Juggernaut doing some stuff. Yeah, I mean, the fight scene was fine, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like we got much out of Juggernaut himself that made me go like, yeah, thank goodness we got him in this movie.
All right. I guess yeah. I kept hearing from people that are because I don't know Juggernaut. I'm not familiar with them, so I keep hearing people like, oh, so excited to see him. I was like, people seem really jazzed about him. So you could kind
I
of take
think
him or leave him.
I assume people all know him from the '90s cartoon, right? He played a pretty.
Yeah,
Mhm,
I
yeah.
think that's
Pretty
probably
good
the,
villain.
the most ingrained pop culture version of that.
And there was a
character.
sweet ass Colossus Juggernaut fight in that cartoon too.
Yeah.
There
So,
was.
yeah, so I love seeing those two dudes clash. And I don't know, like it blew my mind to find out that Ryan Reynolds did the voice of Juggernaut. Because I was just like, I don't know, man. They should have maybe brought back Vinny Jones and gave him another shot. But I thought Ryan Reynolds did a pretty good
I
job
didn't
with the
even know it
dialogue.
was Ryan
Yeah, he
Reynolds
did
doing
it. Yeah, because I was looking at the credits. It's like the Juggernaut as himself. What? And then I read that it was
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds. I was
course.
like, oh, of course.
And-
Couldn't have gotten Brad Pitt to do that.
Even yeah, no, right? But even just a little drop of him hinting at Professor X being like his stepbrother.
yeah, I
Like that
was
shit's just like
included.
really cool to me. And I think Deadpool does a really good job of that, of like calling back to the comics and shit.
Well, it's almost like Legion, where it's just like we acknowledge that there's a very huge continuity behind us, but we will only pull what we need to, but we're not ever going to actively deny that unless story pushes us that way.
So I mean, along those lines, what did everyone think about the use of Cable? Not necessarily just the way he was portrayed, but what they didn't talk about. Like they never really addressed his heritage. Do you think that worked to their advantage?
I don't know anything about him other than what I saw in this movie,
So
and I enjoyed him.
I think other people can probably fill in the gaps that I'm sure I will have. But so Cable is the son of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor, the clone of Jean Grey.
Evil
Oh.
clone.
And he's infected with
goblin.
the legacy
Love an evil
virus
clone.
in the present day, right?
Yes.
Technovirus, right?
Yes. So that why he has that the metal arm thing. It's actually a virus that turns your body into.
Nanites.
I think it's basically more or less nanite.
No, I'm just gonna. Nanites is my catch-all term now for anything that's like a technological thing that can be made into body parts or suits that
No,
is
this-
from space.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Very fair point. But this is basically a disease that turned organic material into like metal organic.
Organites.
Organites.
Organites, yes.
Frank, is that I
Unobtainium?
feel
Yeah.
yeah.
And so they.
Nailed
So
it.
yeah, you're bringing up a very fair point. Where basically nanites are now like sky beams and all the other bullshit sci-fi stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not immediately dismissed.
Nanites is a new algorithm. Just throw it out there and it all
All
works.
right.
But
Math.
so Cable is infected with a legacy virus that turns him into like a technical thing. So he's sent into the future where they can treat it better. And he is actually one of the most powerful mutants ever. But he is constantly using his powers, which I think are mostly telekinesis, right, to keep the virus at bay. So he can never actually use his powers because they are focused on just keeping himself alive.
Huh.
Not dissimilar to Deadpool, actually, kind of in that regards. Whereas,
Yeah.
I mean, but Deadpool can continue to heal, but
So
like,
he has telekinesis, but we never see that because he can never use it because he's busy. His mind is busy.
They
keeping
might
him
have been
alive.
hinting
Yeah.
at it with his gun,
I
right?
think
Or
that
was
was
that
an
like more
electronic
tech,
thing.
like it just come back
I
to
think
me
that was a
boom?
tech thing.
I thought maybe for a second, like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's dope. He's like, gun, come here, and he did it with his mind.
Yeah.
But I could see it if it just like, he's from the future, so fuck, he has
Yeah.
that tech.
Yeah, since,
Maybe
it
if
was,
he,
since
like-
it was only the gun, I didn't think much
True.
of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe if he's just like summoning a gun, then he just gets like indigestion for a second. Do you know what I mean? Like if he's like gets like has to use it for just a split second, then he's
Yeah.
like, "Ugh, all right, we're back.
I'm good.
As a
know?
character.
Yeah.
And
And
not
so
really good.
he doesn't come back into the present until he's an adult. So that's the first time that Scott Summers realizes, oh my gosh, you're my grown son. And then he lamented missing being there to raise him. But he and Jean Grey, after they married, they their minds were taken forward into the future, so they could reside in these caretakers.
Oh,
Actual
that's
Jean
right.
Grey,
Actual
evil
Jean Grey.
Yes, actual Jean Grey.
But he's the son of evil Jean Grey.
Correct.
So why
Yeah.
was actual Jean Grey like, oh, my son?
Well, 'cause she was married.
She's
to
not
Stan.
an animal, Amanda.
But it's her evil. But it's still her.
Yeah, because
It is just her as an evil version.
Yeah,
No,
So
no.
it's
It's,
a
it's a
clone.
complete.
It's a clone.
Yeah, no. This is not technically Jean Grey's son, but she's also not a Stone Cold Bee.
I've
So
always
she's like, I'll raise this child.
remember
as
her
my own."
referring to him as her son, though.
Yeah.
Like I remember during the Executioner song, which is another clone of Cable who doesn't have the techno-organic virus, so he's just like super fucking powerful.
Wait, is that Nathaniel X?
Strife.
That's
Yeah.
Strife.
Strife.
Yes.
Oh, Strife. Okay.
That's a cool hero nickname, Strife.
Strife.
So
Oh,
does he
that's right.
have
He's a
so
bad
does
guy.
he have the telekinesis?
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
super powerful because he doesn't have to waste it holding anything at bay.
Does
So
he
Right.
have
he's
a
just
crazy
full
like
powered up.
metal
Yeah.
armor thing?
Yeah, it's like almost like Silver Samurai
Nuts.
esque, you
I'll
know.
bring up a photo.
It sounds like Shredder.
He
And
does.
That's
Yeah.
actually
He does
kind
look
of
like
not a
Shredder,
bad
yeah.
comparison in terms of design.
Thank you.
Who's still calling you a novice?
Yeah.
Aha.
But Brolin, like,
Only
he signed a
about
5-picture
some
deal,
things.
though, right?
Yeah.
4.
4, but that's still, I
But still,
mean,
yeah.
I imagine one of those 4 movies, they'll eventually dive into his backstory and
look
establish him a
great.
little more. Oh, for sure.
No, but did you guys like that they excluded all that for the sake of just keeping his plotline simple? Like we basically just got we
Yeah.
got his motivation and like just enough like background for us to see where he's coming from, but we didn't get all the detail on it.
Well, I think it depends what they do with him after Deadpool 2, right? If they're like, oh, we're just going to bring him in, introduce him in Deadpool 2 so we could develop him more in these
Right.
subsequent movies.
I know, right?
No, yeah, I mean his story is so kind of convoluted with so
Oh,
many twists
for
and
sure.
turns. Yeah, if you were to drop all that in here, it would just be too much.
But I feel like they at least acknowledge that he's most likely is still a Summer because his daughter is
Hope
named
Summers.
Hope, which is in fact his daughter in the comics. So
That child that he looks over, it's not
he
his real
raises.
daughter. Yeah.
oh wait, but in the movie,
He called her
Oh,
Hope.
yeah,
Yeah,
the comic
no,
book.
oh,
It's
in the
just
comic
like-
book,
yeah.
it's not his actual daughter. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hope
She's
is
not
like the
related
first-
to
First
anyone, right?
mutant born
Yeah.
No.
since the No More Mutants thing, right?
Correct.
Decimation.
She was like a messiah.
Oh.
So Cable took her and he was traveling through time while Bishop was trying to pursue them to put an end to that baby.
Ooh.
Dun dun dun.
Bishop. We need to see a good
Yeah, I feel
Bishop.
like Deadpool could redo Bishop in a cool way, too.
I mean, he wasn't bad. He looked like
Well, he didn't
Thor
really have a-
Ragnarok and Idris Elba.
He
in
really
Thor
didn't have a
Ragnarok.
part, right? Like, he
Yeah.
laid down for a little bit. He juiced up his gun. And
Yeah.
then he blew up.
The Bishop was one of the mutants in the future in Days of X-Men. Days
Okay.
of Future Past.
Okay.
That black guy with the dreads who looked like Idris Elba
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Ragnarok.
Okay.
That's Bishop in the movies.
Okay.
But yeah, Bishop and Cable are like the 2 X-Men time traveler guys. If you watch like the 90s cartoon, they're like dual time travelers, both kind of at odds with each other.
I gotta go back and watch those
Who
movies.
was the
now.
one?
it's
Who was
good.
the one in X Men Evolution that was in the alternate dimension that Nightcrawler goes into on accident?
Forge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like with Cable, it didn't seem
There
like
you
they they just didn't explore it. It didn't feel like they ever negated any of that
Right,
as a
yeah.
possibility. They're just sort of like, let's punt it. We don't need to deal with all of the minutia.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea because
Yeah.
I think I mean, I don't know. For me, I liked that they didn't go into all that because I think it would have slowed everything down a whole bunch and they would have had so much to explain. Where it's here, it's like, okay, we get what he's trying to achieve. He's thematically tied in with the hero.
I had enough that I was like,
Perfect.
oh, I'd like to know more about him, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how I want to leave these movies. Is like, oh, I'd like to know more about that guy,
Yeah.
but I can look past whatever's happened, like this story, and it doesn't catch me up.
Mhm.
You know, like I'm not like, but I need the answers to this guy first.
Is
Frank looks like he wants
Shatterstar
to
the only
disagree.
one we got a backstory for in this movie?
Do we even?
Just
We get
he
sent
did
as
an
the
alien.
Mojo world, which again, cool as hell.
Yeah, they referenced
That's
that. I was not
fucking
expecting
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
No, I felt like Cable. I mean, Josh Brolin did awesome.
Yeah.
and he looked great. But I also felt like, well, I mean, it was just pretty thinly sketched. Like, oh, these guys coming back from the future
mean,
to
it would've-
change stuff, and
Especially since we have Days of Futures Past established as a future timeline and as a terrible alternative, and it seemed like aesthetically the directors took advantage of that, like with the purple lighting and everything like that. Like they should have just shown a Sentinel or something. Like, yeah, I didn't mind because Cable is like we just explained his history. It's tied up to some nonsense, and you have like Apocalypse and all this time travel stuff. It's something like, all right, this could definitely be streamlined when we have like a movie audience, but. Yeah, at the same time, when they already, like, it felt like they already have in the movie universe stuff established that they could have taken advantage of. It was just like, all right, well, we've seen that future. Just make a part of that. Make a part of this weird alternate dimension that we've already seen as viewers. And clearly, coming into Deadpool, most people are aware of all that stuff. So yeah, I think like I didn't mind that it was thinly sketched, but it felt like it wasn't a choice, just a missed opportunity, which is what bugged me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like we just know, like I'm here to save my family, but then that was just about it for him. I was like, which is
Very simplistic John Connor.
Yes.
Sort of. Kyle
Although
Reese.
he did have a couple really funny lines. Like when he was like, he even runs like a fucking pervert. And the fact that they kept referring to them as child molesters was hilarious. And he had a really fucking grudge, like a hard grudge against the main guy, which it wasn't ever explained, but he just thought he was a fucking pervert, so he wanted him dead.
Do we know who that character is? Eddie Marsan's character, the guy who guy who ran Essex House. Obviously, Essex being a
Mr.
reference
Sinister.
to Mr. Sinister, but I guess
Which we got to see already. Like they've hinted at him a couple of times in this universe. I need to see me some Mr. Sinister.
I mean, there's no.
He'd be a fucking great Deadpool 3. Like, that's jumping ahead, but
Yeah.
I think considering the world that they've built and now the Cable's a part of it, putting a Deadpool spin on Sinister might be fun. and a
Well,
way
they
to
had
introduce him.
they had John Hamm playing Mr. Sinister in the New Mutants movie, but then because they went back and had to do reshoots, he had to drop out for like scheduling.
Yeah.
But I thought he would have been a pretty good Sinister.
I think he'd be pretty good at anything.
Me too.
This
No
is
arguments
true.
here.
Listen.
Absolutely true. But so yeah, that the headmaster or whatever you want to call him of that school, though, did we ever get a name for him? I don't think so. Like
Not that's spoken aloud.
Yeah, like he's a
we'd have
rel-
to go into IMDb.
yeah, he's a
for that.
religious zealot, which I know in the comics, Stryker, who in the movie was the guy who gave Wolverine his skeleton, but in the comics, that guy was a religious zealot, and I think he had what was
The Friends of Humanity.
yeah, but I thought they had another name though. It's not the Acolytes, I know it's a different group, but it's something along those lines. So they had like some name for it, because didn't they take bits of mutants?
The
and
U-Men
Yes,
from
the U-
Morrison.
No, I guess that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, Grant Morrison
Maybe
was
the
the one who introduced the
Purifiers.
U-Men, which was basically it was basically like doubling down on Stryker's like God loved man's kill. I'm butchering the name of it, Frank.
oh yeah,
God loved man. God
loves
man kills.
Yep.
It seemed like he was doubling down on that religious order, but it was like they took parts to better humanity as opposed to like become mutants or like
Oh, okay.
tap into anything like that. It's basically like you guys are selfish mofos who have your powers when these should be available to humanity.
Oh, okay. So I guess this guy was just an asshole. I guess
Yeah.
he just liked to hate on mutants because they're mutants. then.
He's only credited as headmaster. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I just
that's not so fun.
because I was listening to an interview with that actor.
He's
and
great in Ray Donovan.
He was talking about Ray Donovan. Actually, I've never watched it.
Oh, he's
but
so good in
Yeah,
it.
and
Yeah.
he's great at everything. But they couldn't talk about his character in the interview, so I thought, okay, well maybe he's revealed to be somebody. I thought for a second maybe he's Sinister. Would have been a very weird choice, but I'm like, okay, I could have been down for something entirely different. But no, they never went there, so I was very curious if he was supposed to be somebody.
What do we think of Fire Fist?
A Fire Fist. Oh my god.
He was annoying to me. I
How
felt he was just
dare
underwritten.
you.
He was just underwritten, and I mean, I don't know. I had no vested interest in this kid
I
getting
wasn't.
saved.
I wasn't ever rooting for him. That he was actually probably one of my biggest complaints in the movie is that he like I wanted to root for him and he was like never really all that likable. He wasn't like a cute little kid that kept like giving the finger and stuff. He was like an older kid who was just
He's gonna be like a fucking gangster.
yeah, which like
Fuck you,
I think
miss.
like yeah,
Miss.
fuck you. I said fuck you, miss.
You miss.
But I love I mean, I think that like everything, it was set up to be that way, but something about him, I never thought he was like all that vulnerable because he never seemed all like likable or defenseless.
We never really
or-
evolved past
He
being
didn't.
a story plot point.
Yeah, which bothered me. I think they maybe missed an opportunity there with that character.
Because I do like somebody that's in that situation, and their only help is supposedly Deadpool, who is not remotely even qualified to help in that sort of way.
Yeah,
But I just felt like it never got played up as strong as I would have liked to seen it.
yeah.
Well, a little derivative of the taser face joke too, with the fire fist.
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
it's
Yes.
like, all right, yeah, we get it. Like, not all the names are going to be winners, but let's move past that as a punchline
Have
at this
any
point.
of you guys seen Hunt for the Wilder People?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's like that.
Because he's more or
Yeah.
less the same character,
yeah.
which is a lot less screen time. Maybe that's part of it.
Huh.
Have you seen it?
Well,
Amanda?
I actually haven't. No.
Oh, it's so
Oh, it's like-
good.
I've
There's
heard it was
more.
great.
Prime.
There's more of him in that movie than we
Yeah.
had in Deadpool 2. I don't want to see that movie then. I'm good.
Let's say I
You
would.
may see yourself out, Frank.
All right, bye guys. It was good doing this.
No,
Frank just hates child actors.
You're coming at from a good perspective, but you don't know what you're talking about. No, it's just like even maybe just seeing him in Essex House before he starts fighting everyone. Just give me a foundation of what his life was like that he had to freak the fuck out.
Yeah, I just
might have been help make him more sympathetic.
I agree. I think that they just didn't give him. I didn't have a problem like with the actor. I didn't have a problem with the powers. It was more just like I don't know.
It's like
Does anyone know the ruling on showing child abuse in film? Would that? I mean, it's already a hard.
I mean, it's a
R.
hard R, so I don't
Yeah,
think.
You
so
sick
hard.
Is there a
cameras.
limit
I wouldn't-
of R material until
That's what
it
you
goes
needed to get you off on this film? This is some kid getting smacked
No,
around.
but you're
No, they're I mean, 13 Reasons Why, man. They're talking about suicide. They're doing.
But they're
gang
talking
shooting.
about it.
Yeah, no,
They show
think
it too.
I mean, this
you
is some
could
of
you
it.
could.
Like,
I
where's
don't.
the
I don't
line
think
where
that
you're
was
allowed to
anything.
show like child abuse. How
I
old do
don't
they have
know.
to be?
I think
Versus how old is the actor?
if-
Versus how
if
old
they-
is the act as the
if
character?
they chose to not include it in this movie, I think they probably did it more from a tone perspective
Yeah.
than from like a ratings thing.
Well,
If
'cause
it's a hard R, it doesn't matter as much. Like there aren't the same regulations as if it were a different rating or if it was for TV for network.
When
be
ZZ
fair, they-
Beats even says like, "Oh, this is the place I was tortured," and like I felt more of a connection to her past to it in just that
Yeah.
line.
Well, let's
than
talk
rest
about
of it.
Domino.
right.
Talk about Cable.
Domino
Talk about
was
Fire Fist.
probably the best part of the movie.
I think they
Domino,
were.
she's amazing.
I think
Yeah,
they
she
were
was
in a
great.
cell together. The last thing I want to say about that guy is like they were in a cell together. That would have been a perfect time for some form of heart to heart. I didn't
Yeah.
like need to see him getting physically abused. I didn't need any of that stuff.
He did get punched in the face a lot.
He did.
Did
But
Did anyone else laugh out loud and then realize they're the only one in the theater doing that when that happened? Is that you? That's just me.
Yeah,
Was
no,
that-
I laughed. I laughed hard as hell.
I'm sorry, man. I interrupted
No,
you.
sorry. No, but
Use your
that's
prison
I think
pocket.
just lost. I think he just became like a series of one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it felt like a guy who was in his like late 40s who doesn't have any kids was trying to write what he thinks a kid would say in that instance with that kid. He's like, yeah, I want to be a gangster. I want to do this. It's like
Gangsta.
Well,
right,
also
but even
seeing-
kids that say that have a reason for saying that. What is he watching? Like, why does he have this point of view? You know?
I feel like it's also kind of the hype around that around that actor
Yeah.
it's the exact same character that he's played in every other film.
Oh, all right.
And that's kind of like I don't want to say he's being typecasted, but I think he is.
Yeah.
And it's like he has to be that wannabe gangster.
Yeah, and I would have totally bought it. Like for me, that felt kind of weird. It felt a little bit like such a weird. I'm having never seen him in anything else. I was like, it's kind of weird that that's the thing that this.
Could you
Kid
imagine
wants so bad.
another child actor playing that part?
Yeah, sure.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Always gonna be my answer is always gonna be Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Tom Cruise, John Hamm.
Absolutely.
John Hamm would
If
be
you don't,
great.
if you don't go in with the, I mean, I don't know what he's like. Is he in the? He's in the comics.
Yeah, he is, but totally different. He's
Yeah,
Rusty Collins on the comic.
I have no idea, like going into. But if you look at the kids, if you just look at the things that we know about him in the film, which are literally that he's a kid at an orphanage who has these powers, who's being abused, who then later goes on to light people on fire. That's what and he's got kind of fascination being a gangster. That is literally all the information we're given on this kid. There's nothing else. So
Well, he also the one line that stood out for me was he couldn't be a hero because he's overweight.
all right.
Yeah, I like
so,
that part. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think like that's good too. I think it's good. Like it's one more nice like diverse thing in the movie. But there's
So
still a
you-
ton of actors that could play that part. Sure.
But you feel like you're based on the material that was available, like is very thin. So the only way for you to connect with this character had the actor been more charismatic, had something more to do, more perspective, because the material wasn't there. Is that what you're?
No, I think the actor was fine. I think they just didn't give him all. I just didn't know anything about him other than like I didn't know his. I mean, this sounds shitty, but like when he first says like when Jez was like, "Are these guys touching you or whatever?" Maybe because of the type of movie it was. When he kind of nodded his head, I was like, "Are they?" I wondered. I had a moment of wondering. I was like, are they gonna blow this whole place up and then find out that like the kid was lying because he's got like a rage issue? Like, I hope not, because
Well,
that would really
they-
be setting a
like-
shitty precedent for victims in this film.
Very briefly
like-
showed the 2 dots on his neck, and I feel like that's probably wise. I think a lot of people miss that super brief shot.
Yeah.
And if they like
No,
just
I
made it a
saw
little
it.
bigger, or if they like
Well, they cut
Yeah,
to them
I
putting like
just-
the collar on him and like shocking him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then I got it. I guess I just though didn't. I didn't feel like they gave him enough of a story. They didn't have enough. There wasn't enough of a connection to me for this kid to wind up being, the driving force for our protagonist. I wanted to know more about why he felt that connection to him, other than just like the love of my life died, and if I couldn't save her, I need to save this kid.
Do you?
It's like that sounds to me like something somebody would say in an improv scene because they know they've only got 3 minutes and they have to build their character.
Do you? Because I was about to say that I think a lot of the characters in this are, I don't want to say necessarily underwritten, but like we don't really know that much about Domino, for example. Like we don't, as we talked about, don't actually know that much about Cable. Like we kind of get just enough for us to accept they fit into this world. And do you think that maybe part of the problem with Fire Fist is that he was so important to the character and the emotional arc of it that by not having enough,
Yeah, I think
we're less forgiving for him because he was so important.
he was emotional fuel for the film. He drove the want of the film for a good portion of it. The goal was getting that kid out of there, and I get it because he's a kid, but it's not like he's like an adorable, sweet kid. He's kind of an asshole for a good portion of the film,
Yeah.
and not like a cute, like adorable asshole with like a good heart who's got this hard exterior. Like all I saw was hard with him, and I didn't know what was driving him. I don't know. That's just I don't know. I guess I did not realize I had this much of a problem with it until we started dissecting it in this
Well, that's what always
conversation.
happens. It's Frank's fault.
But
Yeah.
but I didn't think the actor was bad. I just don't think that they gave him a lot. Didn't give him a lot of dialogue. Everything he said sounded like it was a quip.
Yeah,
You know,
pretty quippy.
Well, the other, speaking of the emotional arcs, did you like how they did the twist and they killed Deadpool's girl right out of the gate?
No,
No.
no, I had a big problem with that
Why is that?
because they fridged her.
True.
So to
Explain, please.
to elaborate,
Thank you.
fridging comes from a Green
That-
Lantern story from the '90s.
Oh.
From Kyle Rayner when they killed his girlfriend.
It's like
and they
the
chopped her
first
up.
Kyle Rayner.
Yeah,
arc.
like they cut up his girlfriend and put her in a fridge, and they only did that so that he had motivation to go off and go do something. And so I was really bothered that a movie that is supposed to be a little bit more on the cutting edge
Breaking
and a little
the
bit more
tropes.
aware and is all built around subverting the tropes, did that. Now it fit very well thematically, and they even were clearly aware of that, like what they were doing, because then the whole title sequence is poking fun at that like immediately and trying to get us moving past it. But I thought it was a rather unsophisticated move for what was otherwise, as weird as let's say this, a sophisticated piece of storytelling.
They straight up said like they were unaware of that trope of fridging the concept. I mean, obviously,
Right.
killing. I mean, it's like fridging is a very distinct feminist critique of male superheroes, but it's just sort of like, but like once you remove that, the significant other of the superhero that's just a plot point. I mean, yeah, there's the gender politics of it
Yeah.
all, but just like when you're the significant other of a superhero, them's the breaks.
but
or a
but I-
parent or an aunt.
yeah, but I do believe
uncle.
because
Uncle, yeah.
Yeah.
like you said, like
Great
the
rice.
opening credits so pointed it out, and it's so aware of the tropes that it's using that I felt I believed them when they said they were unaware of the trope.
well, I mean, you can be unaware of like the term of fridging, but I mean, maybe part of it for me was just like it's 2018, and this is how we're motivating our superhero, like our character, is to kill off his girlfriend. Like, I don't know. It bothered me that for a character that I thought was a little bit better written, especially in the first movie, that had actually a little bit of significance. Yes, she was there to motivate him and to inspire him, but it wasn't just, oh, we're gonna kill her.
Can I
But
tell you,
although-
oh,
Oh, sorry.
I actually don't feel that way about them killing her off. I think
Okay.
maybe it's because I'm so used to now seeing superhero movies that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna kill her, like or kidnap her. I thought they were gonna kidnap her. What I thought was the cheesier trope in all of that is seconds before them saying they want to have a baby together.
Yeah.
Seconds. I liked the like IUD in the box. I thought that was pretty funny and cute. But like that for me was more like the transparent icing
Yeah.
on the cake. Was like not that they killed her, not that they got rid of her right off the bat, but the fact that they're like, we're gonna have a baby, because it felt to me counter to their relationship. Does that make sense?
I can
Everything
kinda
I
see
saw
that,
in the
yeah.
first film made me go, this is a a fucking awesome, like, not traditional love story that they like hooked up, and then the hookups just like kept happening, and they still have that sense of spontaneity, and they still have that sense of crazy. But in this one, all of a sudden, she kind of wants to be this like domestic goddess, and you can do both. You can like be spontaneous and crazy and have children, but there was never anything in the first film or even like at the beginning of the second film even insinuating that was something that they would like wanted to do.
Yeah,
So for me, the whole we're gonna start having a baby, I thought the only thing like worse, not worse, but more trope than that would be her giving him like a positive test.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go there.
Yeah, me too. But I
Two on
actually
the
I didn't mind
nose.
him like killing her off necessarily right off the bat, because I don't know, maybe I was expecting it weirdly
Maybe I
enough.
guess.
But I
the-
mean, in those type of movies, though, I mean, I feel like, sadly, it's like they need some inciting incident. I mean, it could have been killing any family members.
But what if
any,
they kidnapped her? Wouldn't that have been fun though?
Like
but I
they
feel
did
like
in the
That'd
first
been too
movie.
similar to the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would have seen that already.
Like, did she get kidnapped in the first one?
She does.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
wouldn't it
that's
be
right,
funny
yeah.
if it did it again? And then he's just like, God damn it! Like, I'm gonna have to put a chip in her or something like that. So it's
Yeah, I guess just for me, you look at the way they do so many things in this movie. Like for me, it's the first same-sex couple in a superhero film too. Like so you can tell that they are deliberately trying to be inclusive, and they're deliberately trying to subvert expectations and break down these like tropes, and that they just structure the whole movie around what is probably the oldest trope in superhero films. Bothered me a lot. I just wanted them to do something more sophisticated than that.
Well, does the ending where he brings her back, does that...
That almost kind of underwrites, like, it's a fun joke at the end, and it's all done to share, so it's fantastic. But it kind of underwrote the whole thing for me, where it's just like part of it is that I'm always bothered in, like, if there is a central love story in the first movie, the second time around, they've just abandoned that. Like, well, you just
Like
negated...
Austin Powers and Austin Powers.
Exactly.
Spider
They kind of at least poke
But
fun
even
at that.
yeah, they definitely do.
that
Yeah.
Vanessa was a fembot. Oh, and then he's like,
along.
we knew all along, sadly.
And he's just
Your
like,
next mission.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was really fun.
Yeah, like they did something playful with that, but when they just like, oh, we're just gonna jettison that because we don't know what to do with this, having this character around, that always kind of bugs me a little bit. I guess
What if they had like kidnapped the cab driver?
because
Because that would have been fun.
maybe I just wanted her to be an actual presence throughout the film.
But then she could have been. If they had like kidnapped the cab driver or somebody else that was like close to him, because the only other two people that we know that he's got a relationship with really at that point are the cab driver and I mean I guess some of the X-Force.
And Blind Al.
like-
T.J.
Yeah.
Miller.
Yeah, but which just less TJ,
maybe killed T.J. Miller.
less
in this
TJ Miller in
climax.
this film, which I was fine with.
Yeah.
I would actually love a Deadpool story where they do kidnap the cab driver, but Deadpool just like doesn't really care, and he's going
Or
on a
doesn't
separate
notice.
mission. Yeah, he doesn't notice.
It's just like a background thing that's happening.
yeah, he's going
throughout.
through a separate mission, and like we're never gonna tell you where he is. Like what? You took him?
Yeah.
And then like you see him in the background. It's like oh shit. Yeah, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I thought Dopinder had actually a really good part in this movie.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Because he was just trying to just fucking go over the edge. I would bathe myself in the blood of your enemies. Just like little shit like that was hilarious.
My last thing about with the girlfriend, I feel like it drove so much of him throughout the course of the film and set up everything that to treat that her resurrection, the opportunity, if you're given this chance to all of a sudden bring her back, to treat it as just like a little mid-credits little bump.
That was weird too.
I also felt like, I mean, I know you want to be irreverent guys and you want to play with the tropes and stuff, but I felt like that was like the emotional heart of this guy's character throughout the whole story. And then you're just going to treat it as like a little riff in the midst of a mid-credits sequence.
yeah,
It's like,
they undid it in their own film, which is a little bit weird.
But
I
those
just
are
saw
really
that as a
entertaining, though.
joke
Yeah.
to the whole X-Men universe, like the whole X-Men universe already. Of just like, no one's really dead. Everything's okay. We can do whatever we want.
Well, maybe that's what that was. I
I
mean,
didn't-
it did provide one of the best laughs in the whole movie, though. with
Green
him
Lantern.
No,
That
when
made
he
me laugh
when he
real
goes
hard.
and kills the X-Men Origins
Oh,
Wolverine's Deadpool. He just keeps unloading bullets.
Yeah.
Nope, hang on. More.
Just
Okay.
cleaning up the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. I love that whole. I mean, I think that was such a great runner of scenes. It
Yeah.
made me laugh.
the representation though of him seeing her every time he gets killed, and that's his opportunity to kind of reconnect with her. Did you guys like the way that was visualized? They kind of like you're seeing like his kind of what happens between while he's regenerating.
Yeah. It worked for me. It did the job.
I like that she was in it in some part.
Yeah.
You know, that they found some way to kind of connect. 'Cause I agree. I would have liked her to be in the film more.
Yeah. So this maybe I'm just like on a super feminist bend after getting upset about the Vanessa death thing. But did this movie pass the Bechdel test? I don't think it does, because like we have a little bit of interaction between Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio.
Yeah.
But
I liked his interaction with Yukio.
Oh, I
thought
loved it
she
too.
seemed
Hey,
precious.
Hi, Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I loved all that, but I think the few conversations they actually have are actually about
Yeah,
Wade.
I don't think that I don't think that it does.
See, that bugs me a little bit.
Yeah.
Again,
Because
like,
it could.
it could.
It could, and it wouldn't feel out of
this
place.
Seems like the sort of movie that
Yeah.
would be aware of that sort of stuff and make an effort to do something about it. And the fact that it didn't was a
Well,
little upsetting.
they made he even made a statement about it being like the reason they chose X-Force was so that it was inclusive.
Yeah.
It's like gender neutral, inclusive.
And that would have been such a fun joke if it was Domino just like walking down the street and she just bumps into another girl and they say like 6 lines to each other. It's like, oh, did we pass? We passed. And then the girl just like turns down another street.
Yeah, they like at least like acknowledge it or or whatever. I guess I think it'd probably be harder to do that without then wanting to be like, there you fucking happy feminists, you know. But yeah, I would love it if they. I mean, I think that'd be great if they did something like that, because I think that this film it lends itself to that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't feel.
And don't get me wrong, I love Domino. I think we started going this
She was
path. I
cool,
think
and
she's
she
one
was
of the
a
best parts of the whole
scene
thing.
stealer
Oh my
for
god,
sure.
every scene she
Yeah,
was in, she's
she was
amazing.
great. Mm-hmm.
That actress is so charming.
Zazie
I haven't-
Beetz.
Yeah, she's from Atlanta, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She's adorable.
The
and I
show
wanna
Atlanta,
be
to
her.
clarify. Not maybe she's from Atlanta too. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Because I was like, Domino's fine in the comics, but I was not, when they said like, oh, she's going to be in this next movie, I was like, fine. But I was actually really pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed her.
See, that's why I do like that they are pulling like the known entities, but also we're sort of running into the fact that like a lot of the stuff moving forward is not necessarily fully established characters from the comics, and so you can do a spin, because like how many diehard Domino people are there out there just like, I need to see her with the white skin, chalk white with the
guess-
black thing,
Does she have
bob hair, I need to see that or I'm walking.
vitiligo?
What?
Does she have like the? Oh, my grandma has it. So like, if you, it's the
skin
the
disease.
pigment discoloration. Does she have that, or is there
No,
like
I
a
think
reason?
she's just white. Frank,
Yes.
you would.
she does. Wait,
Does she have a pigment
who are
In the
you
disease?
comic
saying
book?
yes to?
Wait, in the comic book, correct?
Or
Yeah,
in
so that's
the-
what we're talking
well,
about. Comic book.
mean
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean I guess I figured she was the same in the comic book as in the movie.
No,
But it didn't-
she's.
in
Oh
the
no,
movie,
she
it
is
didn't
chalk white in the comic.
Oh, okay. So in the movie, that just was a choice they made. Was like that.
Oh, the eye thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that
She-
was just like
literally, she's
a
a
makeup
mutant.
design. Yeah.
All right. Well, most mutants don't have skin discoloration.
A lot of them do.
Most of them are blue though.
You realize there
Yeah.
was a man with
She looked
entirely
like-
organic metal skin in this film.
That's true. But she looked. I don't know. So stupid. I guess she looked like she had vitiligo.
This is Domino in the comics.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
just reverse. All right,
Yeah.
cool. I thought that maybe she just like had it and that they weren't commenting on it. Kind of like if they give a character a port wine stain, but they don't really mention it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Never mind.
What's
okay,
a
it's
port
okay.
wine stain?
That's
A port
the-
wine stain is you can get them
Like a
anywhere, but
birthmark?
like yeah, it's a birthmark. But you can have some people have they're really small, they get them here, and other people have really big ones on their faces.
Like Gorbachev, that big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys.
Well, that's mean to call that a port wine stain. That's
That's what they're called though.
wow.
Yeah.
So you just accept the name of it? You just like that's what it's called?
No, but I have a
new
friend who
idea
has
for
one,
it.
and he calls it a port wine stain. So I just assume that it's like
Because he's
okay.
taking it back.
Maybe.
Like, is it derived literally from someone like spilling port wine on a table and leaving a spot?
I mean, it looks like somebody has spilled port wine on you. I would
So
assume.
it's interesting they chose port wine specifically.
Gorbachev as an example,
right.
and that man looks like wine was spilled on his forehead. So
Yeah.
I just wonder why port. Like, why go specifically to port?
Because red wine can be any color, and port wine is generally darker, deeper red, I would think.
I guess so.
I don't know. Guys, listen.
it's not a
I only
rosé
know about
stain.
two things skin conditions and wine shades. This is just
great.
the middle of my Venn diagram. All right. Well, I guess that she's not as inclusive as I would have
Yeah,
thought.
and you call yourself a novice.
Only about some things.
Only about comic books.
Only about comic
Skin
books.
conditions.
Skin conditions. I'm practically a dermatologist.
It's the
We got-
novice and Amanda.
We
on
got
that
oils.
podcast.
Yeah, right.
We got vitiligo. We got premature aging. We got sunspots. I can keep going.
Frank, may I just sort of pitch an idea for an episode
Oh,
for
please.
you?
Yes, yes.
Who is a character who has a distinct skin condition? A comic book character.
Ooh.
Wade Wilson. You fucking see that guy?
That's true.
Yeah, that's not a skin. That's he's a burn victim.
Well, how do you define skin condition? Like, would you
Something
consider
you're
like
born with?
like marrow or spike?
Yeah.
They have bones growing out of their face. Does that count?
What about
Sounds
glob?
Yeah.
These
Or
all-
something like a
they all have
sunset.
such
Glob, I would say
terrible
Glob
names.
might be. Would you say
Spike
Glob might
Marrow
be
is awesome.
Herman Glob?
Marrow's not as good.
But Spike, if you got like things poking out of your skin, that's gross. Spike,
Well,
Spike just as a name is
he
like
shoots extra bones out.
No, I'm talking about like a
awesome.
mutant with like basically the mutant weaponized version of like eczema.
thing.
Like what's
The thing.
Well, would that be spelled with an X though?
But anyway,
His mutant ability. Like, who brought eczema?
there's the comic book
Yeah.
eczema.
Well, they had the guy from Generation X who
Husk.
Husk, who would rip off her skin to have but then there's
Yeah.
also the dude that
man's
had
face.
enormous amounts of skin.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, the name escaped me on there, but yes.
thought
Well,
that
there's also
was
like
Husk.
Chamber. I felt when
he lost half his face.
when Churchill was doing the art. I forget who was maybe Mike Casey or something was like sort of utilizing him as sort of like a skin. I remember that. Like I think he's like said it in interviews stuff like that. I'm just trying to give you guys a new episode, Amanda.
Thank
Trying to
you.
give you something
Skin
so you can
conditions
bring.
in comic books?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Considering how Deadpool looks in the comics compared to how he looks in the film, he doesn't seem that. I mean, doesn't seem that like in the comics. He's like, oof, yeah, put that mask on, Wade. Yeah, pretty gross. But I never feel like he's like that repulsive.
This is as
in real-
ugly as they can get. Ryan
Yeah, I'm
Reynolds.
sorry. This is
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, no, he's still
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds under that. So it's like,
Yeah, the lowest you can get is like a 7.
I
Well, I
know.
think too
It's
they
like having water spots on a Ferrari.
Well, it's
Like,
also
still a
s-
Ferrari.
It's also so. It's also so hard because I think in this movie he was without his mask for way more of the time because he was in prison for part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and he has to still be able to emote through the prosthetic. You know, so you can't make it like too big.
It
and
definitely
bulky.
felt less than the first movie.
I thought
yeah.
so too, but I thought it. I mean, my general rule of thumb is like if you're walking on the street, would people like stare at him rudely? Because the answer is yes.
it's also like
Don't you think?
like let's
I'm
get into some nuts and
accepting
You
bolts.
would.
Frank, I'm directing this towards you. Baby legs. Those were smooth,
Nuts
my
and bolts.
friend.
They
Those
were.
were smooth baby legs.
He did the
If
basic
he-
The
instinct.
basic thing was amazing.
If he gets skinned and regrow, like, will his like are his leg? It looked like those were clean baby legs. Is it like when he goes through
They-
puberty or
maybe
something
he,
that the
like-
skin changes? What do you?
I don't know because it is weird because yeah, you would think that they would be growing back and looking all kind of cancer-ridden and tumorous as his face does.
Can we
And
also
that doesn't happen?
At least be happy that we did not have to see cancerous tumor-ridden baby legs. I don't know if I would have been emotionally
You
prepared.
guys
But
are
you know, but,
fucking sick.
but I know that
But you
that
saw a child's dick, Chris, and you were fine with that.
pervert. that
Touche.
But you know that conversation had to have come up during like production design though, right? Where they had
Yeah.
to be like, okay, it says in the script he has baby legs. Do you want scarred Deadpool baby legs,
Well,
or they
they're-
just? And they must have had an entire conversation about it,
Yeah,
and
they
then
probably
probably thought it
was
would be
funnier
too
to go
distracting.
with smooth
Yeah.
baby legs.
Yeah, because then otherwise
Yeah.
it looks like when Voldemort becomes like baby gross Voldemort in the dream, and it's like, oh God, why is he so disgusting? It's like he's a gross baby.
Yeah.
It'd be like that. It'd be distracting from the comedy of them being just like hilarious tiny legs, baby smooth. I feel like weirdly enough, tiny smooth baby legs on a big scarred man's body is more upsetting than like small scarred legs on a grown man's
Did
body.
anyone catch the shirt he was wearing in that scene?
The chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, God, the fucking Easter eggs in this were fucking
It was the shirt from Goonies.
gorgeous.
Oh,
For people who
okay.
didn't catch
Yeah,
it.
we got it.
I was just
Got
still
him.
laughing at that he basic instinct them.
That's still
just-
that was such a good scene.
That was hilarious, man. And the one-eyed Willie. I mean, you got to give Brolin love for his breakout role, right?
Yeah.
You called him Thanos.
Fucking call. There was a lot of MCU jokes.
But you know what my favorite one, and this is gonna sound really weird, but the first trailer when that they have with Deadpool when it pauses and they're like, what the fuck's up with the arm? Like you guys aren't even done with the CG, and then it goes to Deadpool with the dolls acting stuff out. As far as I could tell, he was kind of acting out the heist, like the saving Russell scene.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
true.
shows like him putting his nuts in his face, and we saw that. So it's like, well played, Deadpool. It wasn't just a funny bit. You guys actually were showing me something.
Yeah.
It was just with dolls, so I couldn't like really place it. But just like stuff like that was just like the little. I mean, we could probably spend a whole podcast
Just
like
on the marketing.
Yeah, their
Hollywood
marketing
Hollywood
is so
Reporter
good.
has
They do it right.
several articles about tracking like the whole trajectory of like the marketing campaign.
I felt like they did great on that, but I also felt like some of the scenes that I was like most excited about because of the trailer, when they actually saw them in the film, I was like, wasn't as good as the trailer kind of sold it to me.
And which scenes in particular are you thinking?
Like the thing like the recruitment of X-Force. I thought like, yeah, that was like, no, okay.
Well, they just announced that there's going to be a director's cut, and there's probably like a whole shitload of people who come out and try to audition. Did you guys hear about the Chris Evans?
yeah,
idea?
Yeah, I heard a bit about it, but elaborate.
Well, they were just writing all kinds of people who'd show up for these auditions, and one of their jokes was Chris Evans would have shown up as the Human Torch
Oh my
from
God.
Fantastic
Oh my
Oh
Four.
my god, that would have been amazing.
That would have been so good.
Oh, I would have loved that.
Yeah, so I'm sure that they have a bunch of ones that were cut, and they kind of would have maybe filled that out a little more.
Well,
although I gotta admit, man, X-Force for however long they were in this movie was hilarious. They were good.
That,
well, you,
sorry.
I was just gonna say at the end you realize that X-Force actually is Deadpool, Cable, Domino, Colossus, like the 5 of them walking triumphantly.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, like, yeah, they're not reneging on the idea of X-Force. It's just the initial cast they put in were all expendable assholes.
Well,
And
for
he even
me,
had the X-Force hue on his
Yeah.
suit, which was dope.
Oh yeah,
When I
they
was
burned him.
watching
Yeah,
it,
I
like,
that.
when I know we're going to be discussing this, I can't help but like while I'm watching, like filing things away to be like, oh, this drove me crazy, or I love this, or whatever. And I was like really enjoying the movie, and then they introduced all these people in this rapid fire way, and I was like, that's I hate that. File that away. That drove me crazy. It was like, oh, we're supposed to care about all these guys now? We don't even know who they are. My whole bullshit that I am with like all of the characters. I'm like, we don't even know who they are. I'm supposed to be invested in this team they just brought together. Now I'm gonna have to be with these guys the rest of the movie. I don't know these fools. And then they immediately all died, and I was like, cross it off my list.
I loved
That
it.
was instead very brilliant and funny.
was hilarious.
So
So
High
funny.
winds.
yeah,
was a-
which is funny because normally I can spot that stuff coming. Didn't see that coming, and it
No.
made me laugh
Yeah.
really hard. I don't think you enjoyed that as much, but
No,
I really did.
I thought it was a nice little fun twist on the expectation. The only thing that bothered me about that whole thing was his sometimes forgetting and calling Peter Paul. And I was like, man, certainly at the end of the movie, he goes back in time to save this guy's life. So it felt weird. Like, yeah, I thought you'd be more invested in the guy the whole way through. It felt weird when you'd kind of like forget his name and call him a different name. I'm like, kind of felt like little road bumps.
It's like you got to pick your joke.
Yeah.
Like, do you want the joke to be that he's like super supportive of this guy and really cares about this like really normal, clearly lame guy, or is the joke that he doesn't give a shit and keeps calling him the wrong name?
Yes.
You can't have it both ways.
Correct.
Got
At least
it.
for me. And I rather would have the first. I thought that was more funny and more
It was.
successful.
Yeah, that was good.
I will say though, with that Peter bit, because that's a big moment in the trailer when like Peter jumps out of
People
the
lost their shit
helicopter.
when we saw Avengers. Both times I
Yeah.
saw Avengers
Yeah.
in the
Because
theater, people
it's
lost
a really
their shit
funny
during
joke,
that Peter
and I
joke.
found that moment still as funny in the movie when he's actually like flying through the air as everyone else is. It was in the trailer, which I was surprised by. It also helped too that he like jumped out of the helicopter in the funniest way possible, like sitting down on like the ramp.
There was a theory that I read before the movie, which was just the ultimate like only Deadpool could get away with it kind of thing, where everything we saw in the trailer was actually just going to be the first 20 minutes of the film. Like Cable was only going to be in 20 minutes, and there was going to be a completely different story. And I was kind of hoping for that, but then I remembered there was an episode of the Dana Carvey show where the producers or someone high up in the chain was like, "We want this to feel more like Seinfeld and less like a bad SNL." And so then there was an episode where they literally just showed an episode of Seinfeld like over Dana Carvey's shoulder, and like that is something that like
So good.
like Deadpool 4. I would love to see them like it would start with Deadpool and he'd run off to the side and like the first X-Men would play, and like it'd be like a super limited release thing in theaters. But I would fucking love
We
for them to just fuck with audiences by playing a completely different movie.
Yeah.
we got to talk about my personal favorite cameo and joke was the X-Men bit.
Yes.
They're like,
yeah.
the studio can't even shell up
And
for
he was
more
legit
X-Men this
pissed,
time,
too,
and
yeah.
just come the fuck on. And then you get 6 legit X-Men actors all in full makeup and everything like that. Just close the door.
That was really- that was funny.
It was
That
so
was-
so fast. I caught Professor X, Beast, and Cyclops. Who else is in there?
Quicksilver. and
Quicksilver,
Quicksilver's in there, right?
Storm,
And
Okay.
Nightcrawler.
and it's like, but also like Beast. Like I was, just, is that Kelsey Grammer?
No, it
or
was-
is no, it was Nicholas
Yeah.
Holt. But it's just like the design of it. Just like it could have been Kelsey Grammer. And I would have just been fine
Yeah.
with it. But it's just like it was. I just love like it was such a quick bit, but also such a great job of acknowledging the yes, this is part of something larger,
Yeah.
but also no, we're not going to bring all those characters in. This isn't fucking Infinity War.
Yeah.
But which I do like that idea, but I also felt like, well, yeah, you can get those guys because of the current crop, but I rather would have seen like Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
Well,
That
they
was-
shot that while filming Dark Phoenix, so that's
Yeah.
like them in their Dark Phoenix makeup. They just shot it and then sent it to him, and they cut it in.
Yeah.
No, but like I see what you're saying because it kind of does establish that now those are the new X-Men in the present,
Which-
Yes.
more or less. Which is like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, yeah, we get it. Moving forward, these are
Yeah.
our X-Men. We got to deal with it.
But you can tell me Quicksilver looks that young. I mean, last time we saw him was in the 80s.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, is right. I mean, that's the problem with even the 3 movies they made with a new cast is that none of them have aged a
Yeah,
day.
you can't skip 10 years every movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
And be like,
it's
oh,
a bit of a problem.
just jumped
68. Like, no, you're not Evan Peters.
30
What the fuck are you
years.
talking about?
They
Yeah.
jumped 30 years from the 80s to the present.
But what I'm curious to see now is do you think we're gonna see some small elements of Deadpool seep its way into Dark Phoenix? Like, what I'm thinking of specifically is, do you think that when we go to Dark Phoenix, they're gonna be flying around in the Blackbird version of the X-Jet like they are in this movie? Do you think we're gonna see some of the students running around in the background in the black and yellow X-Men suits like Negasonic is wearing? Like, do you think we're gonna see a
I
little
think
bit
so.
of
Fucking
yeah.
need
I,
to.
I
Yeah.
hope so. I would love to them go ahead and just actually like really solidify that bridge a little bit more.
Well, it's like I don't necessarily need to see the fact that this is all one shared universe. And Deadpool, I can imagine him running around the same as the X-Men stuff. But it's like we are far beyond the mentality that put the original X-Men, Famke Janssen, Halle Berry, James Marsden, Hugh Jackman in those black leather suits.
Yeah.
We are so far beyond that like it just needs to look more like a super. It needs to look more like Deadpool. Like that's what the X-Men movie should
Yeah.
take, is the fact that that is legitimately Deadpool in his suit and not the Deadpool that he just motherfucking shot at the end of the credits.
Yeah.
Like that mentality was birthed from the 2000 X-Men movie, and now we're so beyond that I'd be pissed if it wasn't reflected.
Although, have you seen the set photos of what the X-Men costumes look like in Dark
Yep.
Phoenix?
It's just the big X, right?
It is the Grant Morrison
Yeah.
yellow and black costumes. I actually really like. And the funny thing is, those costumes were in fact inspired by the ones from the movie, so it's this weird kind of full circle thing
Oh, yeah.
happening. And I like those looks, but I kind of would prefer them to do a little bit more comic booky.
Well, they just showed them at the end of the last one, and they were all like 90s outfits out, you know? Like,
Yeah.
wear them. One end credit scene, fucking carry it over to the next movie. Use them.
But the jump 10 years again, they're not just going to throw it all out.
But it's like Hawkeye. Who else really doesn't look like their comic book counterpart in the MCU?
No, that's true. I mean,
Like-
and as much as the comics say, "Oh, we do our own thing." I mean, all they did is they just changed their look to match the film version, which is my least favorite look.
Yeah, that's what Grant Morrison was basically mandated to take him out of the costumes because of the movie. And luckily, Frank Quietly and Ian Churchill, the artists of those 2 books when they launched, were good enough to create some sort of flair to it. But yeah, I do outside of Frank Quietly's art, I do not like those costumes.
And then, but I even loved when Whedon took over that they brought the costumes back and had that great line. It's like people are getting freaked out. Like, we don't want to look like thugs. We're not going to run around in leather. Like,
We're superheroes.
We look like superheroes. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, he did it.
Yeah.
Brought it back. And I love all the looks from the Assange.
Well, Grant Morrison did so much more to establish what the actual world would look like with mutants. It was like
Yeah, it's
one of the
true.
first people like, hey, you know what? This is a whole separate race that you guys have been saying for the past 40 years that they exist. What's their music sound like? What does music sound like when you have 4 arms? You can play the guitar like that. And so it was like, that's what I'd rather see them pull from Grant Morrison stuff, is the fact that he was actually asking legitimate questions about what it is to create an entire culture for a new race that basically cropped up overnight over one generation.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I want to see. I want to see them making a world as opposed to putting them back in the goddamn black suits.
But I don't think we'll ever see an X-Men movie where all the mutants in the background look like mutants. Like, that's one of the cool things about the Morrison run is that all the kids have very distinct physical mutant abilities, and in the movies, obviously, they just need extras.
Grant Morrison also was like, you know what? Here's a guy with 3 faces.
Yeah.
Here's a girl who just has lips all around her neck. Like,
Yeah.
he made some weird ass mutants.
Also, should we pull ourselves out of the weeds here? Because I think we've lost half the room.
No, Grant Morrison will never be out of vote.
My best friend Grant Morrison.
Yeah, that's right. Are you guys jazzed from doing Green Lantern?
What?
Are you jazzed from doing Green Lantern?
What?
Grant
I don't-
Morrison's
Grant-
doing
Grant Morrison's going to be taking over Green Lantern.
What?
interesting.
I didn't know that. I thought we were making a fact. I wanted to make a joke about how, like, I really wanted to see a Green Lantern movie since I've never seen one ever. I remember that Ryan Reynolds
That's
movie
right.
that was going to be
Yep.
Green Lantern, but then his tragic death, mysterious circumstances prevented that Green Lantern movie from
Welcome
ever
to the
happening.
big league, kids.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Canada.
Yeah. Yes.
Didn't
great.
Warner Brothers Twitter say something like?
They want the ring back.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. That's so.
So that's
good.
like I love that like
I'm sorry, just real quick. Speaking of rings, I heard in a movie, Juggernaut tell Colossus that he was going to bend him into a cock ring.
Yeah.
That is something that happened in my lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never been prouder.
In a live action
Yep.
theatrical release film.
I
I
love that.
seen it, guys. I heard it, and they can never ever take that away from me.
No, that's
Part of my history now, guys.
How long do you think it'll take before Colossus cock rings are available
I think
online?
they already are.
Yeah, I mean
Can
they
you
have
point
to
me in their
be in
direction?
production as we speak.
I mean, they made a
right?
Shape of Water dildo
This
that
is
sold
true.
out in hours.
This is true, actually. Yeah,
I mean,
So,
if
just
Deadpool's doing commercials for Devour,
that's true.
I imagine
that's
he's
true.
gonna put his face in a cock ring.
I'm wearing
Let
one
me,
right
let me do
now.
a quick search. I'll report back in a second.
Frank's got a beta.
I'm glad
He's
that you're
got a
doing
beta
that
cock ring.
on
It's heavier than you
your
think,
phone.
Oh,
Maybe
that,
not.
this is not the worst thing that I've looked up on my phone today.
Our moms are so proud of us this
Frank-
podcast.
Frank, are you worried that the cock ring might turn into flesh at any point?
Yeah.
It's actually an
It's flesh,
organic
it's flesh
metal.
now.
Did it go? It's a full Colossus cock ring.
Actually, what I'm worried about is the cock ring, like Colossus, does not need to breathe. That would make for a very sweaty situation. So, oh
I
my
have,
god,
I
I
have a
killed
weird
it.
Colossus question.
Weirder than this discussion.
I mean, it's just like a tangent question.
Okay.
We see him lose a tooth. Does the tooth stay metal until it goes back into his mouth? Does it turn back immediately? Or
Well, I mean, it's sort of like the movie The Mask, in which Stanley Ipkiss, he's wearing his suit, he's got the mask, but then when his tie gets shot off, it turns back into his pajamas.
okay.
I would say it should have gone back to an organic tooth as soon as it left Colossus.
Okay. And is it anything connected to Colossus? So, like, when he goes to the dentist and gets a filler, is the filler also going to turn into metal now, or is he going to have like
It's just
one,
one
vulnerable-
single regular tooth in there.
Well, you realize he can turn into a person, right?
Yeah. I'm saying when he turns back human, because
Yeah.
I assume he's going to get his dental work done as a human or in flesh form. So now he has the fake tooth. Will that fake tooth also?
I see
turn
what
metal?
you're saying. I see
Yes,
what you're saying.
The new
I'm going to defer to Frank.
You know what?
Also,
I will
did
be
you
honest,
call it
Cameron.
filler?
What?
Filler? You don't call it a filling?
No, did I say? I meant filling.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
just
All
thought I'd
killer,
maybe-
no
just Maybe
filler.
I've just been
Yeah.
calling it the wrong
Maybe a
thing for
filler
years.
tooth is what I was trying to say.
Okay, that just sounded really
He's
cute.
a fake tooth.
baby.
Yeah.
Aw, little
That's
guy.
why I'm so glad to sit next to Cameron, because I had those same thoughts had to run through my mind just earlier today.
Yeah.
Thinking about
Separate them.
Colossus, like, oh yeah, what about that tooth though?
Right?
What-
It's a very important part. I want Deadpool 3 to just be Colossus at the
Yeah, but
dentist.
how many times does like the Hulk? I don't know. He has like healing factors, but he spit out a lot of teeth
That's
in his
true.
fights.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, they had him injured tremendously in Mutant Massacre, where he couldn't turn back into human because if he did, the trauma of his injuries would kill him. So he was forced to stay in his metal form.
Guys, what if I wrote a series of children's books that are all like Colossus at the dentist, and they're addressing all of these superhero questions, but they're like for little kids?
I would love
Yeah.
this.
Wouldn't that be sweet and adorable?
That'd
I
be
would
awesome.
love
Called it. Anybody listening, don't take my idea. I'm gonna do it.
I believe this is low key copyrighted.
Yeah.
We have a
Yeah,
time
low-key
stamp
Yeah,
on
that's
it.
true.
Damn
Yeah.
straight. All
Now,
right.
I do have a question about Colossus because technically, the human body, it's like is a tube technically. Like it's all continuous. So when he goes to metal, does that mean his internal organs go to metal too? Like is the metal?
Are
extend
you
all the
asking
way
if he
through-
jizzes metal cum?
Surprisingly, no. What I was actually
Because that's what I was
asking
thinking the whole movie.
is-
Just same as Frank's
Like
lost him a
Mercury.
tooth.
Well, yeah, like no, does like his throat and like does he have a metal throat and asshole?
Yeah, his
Is it
his
metal
mouth
all the way
looked
through?
metal
I
inside though,
I got
right?
looks
Like when he was
I
like
said-
when he was screaming, his tongue and everything was
Yeah,
metal.
So,
Yeah.
like that means does that mean his like whole like esophagus and stomach and like all of his intestine all becomes metal too?
Yeah, I guess
Explain
so.
Colossus to me.
Yes.
Just that.
Oh, just explain to him?
Yeah,
He's
explain,
Peter
like, so-
Rasputin, a mutant who can turn his body into organic metal.
But he can turn it into that.
Yes.
Yes.
So how come every time I see him, he's metal?
Because they don't have a real actor playing him. He's all CG.
Yeah.
Do they ever address that with a joke or anything?
No.
That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, it's because the actor that they got during the Bryan Singer films was poor.
Yeah.
It was a poor choice.
Well, if he ever opened his mouth but that didn't happen most of the time. So
All
I
right,
was
let's be honest.
perfectly
Clearly,
fine with him.
Brian Singer was into that guy, and that's why he got cast.
This gentleman is the voice.
Don't have a problem with this.
Oh, so he's okay. So he's
Yeah,
just
that's
the
what.
voice
Like, it's
now.
to come back to the thing where Deadpool makes all these characters better.
I wish they would address that. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, we don't have budget CG for me to go back and forth. You know?
Although, but it's like I don't know if I want any other characters breaking the fourth wall other than Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Brolin maybe a little
Well, the
bit.
Deadpool could do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's
like
always kind
mocking
of, or
him.
not. That's been his thing for a little while now. It's part of one of his powers.
I just thought maybe I'd missed something, but it's never actually explained.
well, we also get Black Tom Cassidy, who I was excited like.
African American
him,
Tom
yeah.
Cassidy.
Yes.
He called him Black Adam at one point too.
Oh, did he? I missed that. Well, and I think the Vanisher was an actual character from the comics too. Wasn't that a
Yes.
really early X-Men villain they went
Yep.
up against?
The
Seeing-
second.
That's right,
Hollywood
yeah.
Reporter had a whole like thing looking at the history of him where it's like, how'd they get Brad Pitt for this? And they had this whole thing. Yeah, he's the second villain that they ever fought.
That's true. Yeah,
He
But
sucked.
I
just
love they included Black
loved-
Tom Cassidy. I really loved that.
I loved
actually.
seeing that just the harness like jump out of
It's
the
it's really
and,
good
and,
bit.
and him get like the same amount of screen time like with just the harness falling through the air. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, but Black Tom, one of the at least if you're gonna bring him, the nice thing is the hookup between his relationship between him and Juggernaut.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
Did they? So I actually had like when they were in the prison, I had to go to the bathroom. Did they address a connection between the two of them?
No.
Ever? Oh, that's I'm a little disappointed by that actually. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's always been a huge thing because
They're partners basically, right?
Yeah. Now, I can't remember. Does Black Tom have any mutant abilities?
He does.
I don't remember what they are. Though. I don't ever
gosh, I can't
seen
remember.
them. In
He has more
action.
nebulous thing like Domino, right?
Yeah.
I feel
And
like
not like a
he's like mischief or something, right?
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
just liked they threw him in there just for the hell of it, and I feel
Well,
like
he was originally going to be the Juggernaut role. He was going to be the devil on Russell's shoulder.
Oh,
and then
interesting.
they decided at some point during production to
Then they
go
shot
with
him in the
Juggernaut.
face.
yeah, right. Just, well, we're done with this.
Thanks,
now.
no thanks.
He is a mutant whose principal power was the ability to generate and discharge concussive blasts of force and heat through any wooden medium.
The wood.
Yeah,
That was cool until that last part.
because he always carries that shillelagh. that he
Yeah,
always-
yeah.
So he's Green Lantern Alan Scott's
Or
arch
he's-
nemesis.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he's a wizard. It's just a wizard. It's just a
It's
different
a
kind of
wand.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And his cousin is Banshee, and
Yes.
their powers cancel each other out.
Oh, I forgot about that. I love
Like
Banshee.
Havoc and
I-
Cyclops.
Concussion supersonic
Love
scream is
Banshee.
the same as energy channeled through wood.
We have, I don't know if this is a good time for this or not, but we actually have, I got some questions.
Oh,
on,
Oh,
on
You actually got
Instagram.
questions. I didn't get any.
I
was so
did.
sad.
I got
Thank
some-
you for reposting that
Yeah,
because you
no-
actually got questions.
No problem. So, yeah, so we
Guys,
we got
send us some questions next time.
Yeah, please. We got them. So, Comics Shelf, so comics_shelf on Instagram, had some great questions for us about this. His first question is, what lesser-known characters from any Deadpool or X-Men series would you like to see in a third Deadpool movie?
Dakin or Dakin, if you prefer.
Ooh.
I think if you're never gonna get Wolverine in a movie, you could get his son because his son's a dick
Pretty
too.
good.
I want Cannonball. I'm gonna
Oh,
get that.
Ooh.
Cannonball is good. Yeah. I've always liked Forge actually.
Yeah, Forge is dope.
Forge is cool. Or it would be hard to do, but it might be interesting to try and take on Phantom X.
Yo, yeah, X-Force
Yeah.
is coming up.
Well,
Yeah.
Phantom X is hard because he seems to be from the vein of, hey, we don't want to pay Rob Liefeld too much anymore during the mid 2000s, so let's create other characters. But Phantom X, he's awesome, but he like outside of Morrison writing him, he always felt derivative, like
Yeah.
Agent X, derivative Deadpool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
I would actually take, since Class is such a big part of these films, I'd take Magic as well.
yeah.
Oh, but I think we're getting her.
She's in the New Mutants,
New
right?
Mutants.
Yeah.
Who cares about that?
I know.
Is Cannonball in that too?
I think he is. Yeah.
I mean, he's new.
The two characters you wanted to see, Frank.
Yeah, but then it's not gonna be as good.
Because like my favorite X-Men have always been like Angel/Archangel, which they've never done right.
Archangel, man, they
They
need to do him right.
Really ruined
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I love Banshee too, and I liked him a lot in First Class. I was really disappointed they didn't keep bringing him around. 'Cause he's always been one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
You get
Well, even like
dissected.
Yes,
like
so
you know
terrible.
what would have fit in, and I love Zoe Kravitz, but like they really squandered her Angel too.
Oh, that's true.
Because that was like I would
weird.
have loved to have seen full on white trash Angel.
Yeah.
Beak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Beak would be
Beak's
cool.
who I want.
That's a good call.
That's a real, because I'd want to see like the Morrison shitty mutants, like the ones that's just like you're just a mutant and you have no, like it's just like you don't realize
Morlocks.
how how many of the X-Men really hit the genetic lottery when all their mutations are weaponized. And then Grant Morrison was just like there got to be people who just got mutated for bullshit reasons.
Yeah. Well, there was the one from Last Stand of the kid who can just blink and change the channel.
Yeah.
I want to believe that's his only power.
But even like something like the Stepford Cuckoos, had they not had the Gift had not really decided to run with them, would be fun.
Yeah.
I like kind of I'd want to see more of like the Noah Hawley way of picking of just like more atmospheric mutants. But yeah, I'm going with Beak. That's my guy.
Since they weren't gonna give Vanessa her powers, I would like to see Morph done. He was one of my favorite characters from the animated series.
Yeah.
Frank.
Yes.
Exiles morph.
That'd be cool.
I'd like
yeah,
X-Miles
I'd be
morph.
totally down for that. I mean, I was a sucker for the original one where it's kind of looked like it was like Scott Summers, but with the Beast's body. That's the original version of him. But the morph version from Exiles is really
Even
cool.
Mimic would be
I was
fun
about
too.
to say Mimic.
Yeah.
Mimic would be good.
Yeah, but Morph or Beak would be my
Yes.
picks.
This is when Cameron discovers I actually know much more about X-Men than I do Batman. Because I read mostly X-Men as a kid.
You've mentioned that to me.
Yeah, so this is great. I'm in fucking heaven right now.
Amanda.
We could also do Eyeboy, who just has eyeballs all over his
Oh, I
entire
just assumed
body.
he was made entirely of Apple products.
I mean, I'd like to see Archangel, like a really cool dark version of Archangel.
they
I don't
really
know
messed
though
him up.
if it'd be like the best in. I don't know. I'm like, part of me wants to see him done in Deadpool movie where like he's like really serious about his shit, and they're all like, "This is a fucking Deadpool movie," you know. But I kind of would like to see him in just like a super dark, edgy movie.
Well, Apocalypse was supposed to be it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yep.
Well, because he was in one of the more recent iterations of X-Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a huge part in it too.
Yeah.
He eventually became Apocalypse.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he goes full bad.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No.
I guess I'm
Warren
just-
Washington.
Deadpool kills a kid, guys. Spoiler alert.
Ooh, I'm
But
just
that kid is Apocalypse, so.
I'm just going through that. Frank and I just read Infinity Gauntlet, and it was very educational. But there's like a whole page where Captain America is sitting, and he's like, all the people that have died, and it's just like this wall is like tiles of all the heroes.
All of the
that have been
Fantastic
killed.
Four are up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and one of them is
That's
shaped like
fucked up.
it's like shaped like the number 4, which Frank hated.
so stupid.
But like
Two,
I was.
two people. Human Torch flew a 4,
Yep.
and then Mr. Yeah, we were just looking over that too.
So
Bullshit.
yeah, they're so stupid. But in my mind, I'm like Rolodexing all of those little people on tiles, thinking like, well, who else would I want to see? Because I thought Archangel looked really cool.
Yeah.
But then I think it was who's the one that I was like, oh, well, it just sounds like Doctor Strange, but like less awesome. Was it Warlock?
Adam Warlock
Oh no, Adam Warlock was cool,
Yeah.
but like I was confused by him too.
Brother Voodoo.
or Shaman?
Oh, maybe.
Alpha
Do you think
Flight?
Brother
Yeah.
Voodoo is MCU or is he Fox?
He's gotta be MCU.
Brother Voodoo would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. He's got to be MCU.
Yeah, he's got to be. But
That'd be a good idea for Adam into a Strange movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Let's Dreamcast Brother Voodoo real quick.
Oh, s-
Oh, you have more questions, Amanda?
I don't
yeah.
even know who
So,
Brother Voodoo
wait,
is.
second follow up to that. So, and it's very specific. Which casting choice had you gone with for Cable if you were part of Deadpool 2's development? And it's Brad Pitt or David Harbour? Which is those are kind of funny choices. I would
Pitt
actually.
was originally up for it, right? That's
Yeah.
why
Well-
he made the cameo anyways, because
Yeah.
he was originally
I didn't
Big
realize
Cable.
that Leach. I knew Leach had a down background, but he was straight up Brad Pitt's double for years.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was
I didn't
his
know that
double
either.
at least
That's
on Mr.
awesome.
and Mrs. Smith. So that's just like, oh right, it's all really coming into focus here.
Yeah.
I'd go Brad Pitt. There's something about Harbor that I don't like.
Well, I
don't-
haven't seen him all buffed up to play Hellboy yet. So, like, if he really fills out that build, I could totally see him as a Cable.
But he's also like what, like 15 years younger than Brolin at least.
He doesn't look super young though.
I don't know if he's that much younger than Brolin.
I'm putting my
People don't age,
line in the
right?
sand.
Not
line
in this
the sand.
universe.
15 years.
7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
so
68
fast.
versus
I mean, look at that.
75.
That's crazy.
He did so fast.
Here, I'll
Josh
turn-
Brolin looks rugged. I go Brad Pitt just because I've also like his
Well, that's also bodysuit.
his haircut and like the sort of
I mean, I think
outside
assuming
of
he lost weight to
Oh,
get
I'm
in
just
the
gonna keep
bodysuit.
talking about what you guys.
I'm
are
listening.
saying. I see you. That's what I'm talking to you, Cam. Like if you take out the Aldo Rain accent, I feel a lot of that characterization was solid Cable. But yeah, but like I don't know, like Cable is supposed to be older than everyone.
Well,
And-
dude from Avatar, the bad
Our
guy in
favorite
that,
movie.
he wanted to play Cable. I know he was campaigning for it. I think he would have made a good Cable.
Oh, absolutely.
Cameron, what was his name in Avatar?
It was General Huxtable.
There's a lot to unpack with that. We're
Yeah,
just gonna
it's-
leave it on the table.
Yeah.
And he's coming back for the next one, isn't he?
It's
Who
a good
isn't
question.
though? God,
That's
damn.
true.
Amanda, next question. I feel we.
Yeah, we got some more questions. There?
Well, Brad Pitt is my answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think Brad Pitt was.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
I
consistent. I,
think
like
that-
Harbor, but no.
Yeah, that was his question.
Well,
Those
do you
were two
think
questions.
if Brad Pitt had been in it, would you have got to be like awesome casting, or would it be like, what's Brad Pitt going on, man? That he's doing now? He's just doing this.
I think it would have been like a super fun, interesting choice, and I always welcome seeing actors I don't normally think of as being funny, like being funny.
I think
If
I don't know if
he's
it would have made
funny.
much difference for me. I think he probably would have been just as good as Brolin. I mean, they obviously different skill sets, but I think he would have done a fine job.
less Goonies references.
Yeah, probably.
No, you don't
Yeah.
think?
Do you think they would have had the balls to make a Bradgelina
Ooh.
joke if Brad
Um,
Pitt had been Cable?
I would have much preferred a Brad and Jennifer joke, actually.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, they made a few references to the vampire movie.
Let's stop.
Interview
Yeah,
with
that's
the
true.
Vampire.
Interview with
Yeah,
the Vampire,
they
yeah.
did.
Yeah, and I never realized this until now. They're talking about Kirsten Dunst and Tom Cruise. Never once mentioned Brad Pitt's
No.
character at all. He's the focus of that movie.
true,
He's the
actually.
protagonist of that movie. Do you think Brad Pitt exists in the X-Men universe?
I mean, Ryan Reynolds does, right?
That's true.
So it stands to reason that Brad Pitt would too.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, man, you look like this mutant I know.
I mean, I've never seen him.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, they've confirmed twice that Disneyland is part of the MCU. So
What? What?
Yeah.
How? When?
Shuri talks about it at the end of Black
Oh,
Panther.
right,
She's like,
that's
when
the
you
thing.
said we're going to California, I thought we'd be going to Disneyland.
That's so true.
And then someone else.
That's just so they can market products like the Shuri Sundae,
hmm
which I'm sure
like
is
the
a
shirt
thing.
that I'm wearing right now.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. And then someone else made I want to say like Iron Man 3. Someone made a Disneyland joke.
Yeah, I can see Stark throwing out a Disneyland joke.
Yeah, we know it exists. That's where I want Infinity War Part 2 to happen. I want to be at the park.
That's
when-
where the Soul Stone is.
Yeah, I want. Yeah,
that's
where
the-
my
that's
soul
would-
actually
what if
like where the
The Soul
dimension
Stone is like in there's what's one of the rides that's over
Matterhorn.
Well, no, oh, that'd be funny. But I was thinking over kind of by Space Mountain, like in the Land of Tomorrow in Tomorrowland.
Mhm.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Tomorrowland.
Where there's like that. There's like the thing spinning. Like
The
this. I'm doing this. You guys can't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it at home. I'm doing weird spinny
the
things with
Astro
my hands.
Orbiter.
Yeah. What if it were in there?
Yeah, because no one likes that, right?
It looks like I know, but it looks like it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the other things for Cable, of course, he travels through time, but he always had like a almost like a computer sidekick, but he always had like some kind of computer that he would touch base with.
Gray Malkin, right?
Yeah, would you want to like body slide? It's like
Body slide
by
by one.
Yes. I was kind of bummed that they didn't realize it like that. It was just him like screaming out into the void whenever you do the time thing.
Deadpool had one line. He said, "You body sliding son of a bitch," and I was just like, "Okay, well at least they mentioned it once."
Oh,
but
I thought it said time sliding. Son of a bitch.
did he? Maybe I just heard
Because
what I
otherwise
wanted
that
to
joke
hear.
would not have made sense to me. I would be like body sliding.
Yeah, I must have heard what I wanted to hear.
Oh, well,
That
gonna have to go
happens
see-
all the time.
We're
Creating
gonna have to
your
go
own
and see
reality.
it again now.
I am very good looking. Thank you.
Yeah, but I was just like, I was kind of missing that little touch. And I don't know, like in terms of time travel, do you guys like how it was realized where he just kind of turns a little dial and we just see things kind of moving back and forth?
It works.
Something tells me that you didn't like it. The way you presented that to us.
Yeah, I mean, guys,
Did
it
you
was
like
this.
that really
He could have
stupid
been more
thing?
in the tech aspect of time travel because that's what he is, right? And they really didn't have that connection to devices as much. It really was just a little thing. But I did hear the writers say that don't expect to see that device show up again. They said that what happens in the end credits is canon, but don't
Yeah.
expect to see the device.
Which is a shame because I mean that's part of the hook of Cable. He does travel through time. I mean, I know you don't. That does become a crutch where you can just kind of erase everything that's ever happened, but that's also part of his deal too.
Well, it's something that could, like, just seeing Cable travel through time trying to escape some sort of threat could be something in and of itself without necessarily, like, doing Deadpool 2 or Days of Future Past where you're retconning the time stream to clean up Brett Ratner's mistakes.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, but I will give. I can't believe I have to say this sentence. I will give Brett Ratner credit for
Moving on.
for some of his casting for his casting choices. I think Ellen Page is a great Kitty Pryde. I think Kelsey Grammer was a brilliant choice for Beast. Now we can make an argument that maybe that wasn't him. That was more like Lauren Schuler Donner or someone else. But that movie, I think, did a pretty good job with some of their casting.
Vinnie Jones.
That movie did some.
I'm the
good casting.
Juggernaut,
I'm still on board of Vin Diesel playing Juggernaut.
Well, yeah, you just have to put like a salad bowl on top of him.
Don't
and
even
he's
need the
fine.
helmet.
He's fine.
Just say that he's wearing it.
I felt like I think I enjoyed probably out of all this in terms of the fight sequences, probably the middle one. For the when they're trying to rescue him.
train?
Yeah, probably the
Or
most.
the caravan.
The
I
caravan, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the last one there at the school.
Yeah, it's just kind of okay.
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
more
just-
getting to the
it-
emotional beat of it.
Yeah, it was just them beating up dudes dressed like nurses, right?
yeah.
Yes.
And all the guys in the white and stuff. So
But I think it's actually a pretty common thing now is that the big set pieces of movies oftentimes aren't actually the finale. I mean, you look at, I'd say Black Panther is kind of the same way too. I'd say the big set piece in that is the whole thing in Korea more so than the fight between the two of them at the end.
That was kind of a lame fight.
The final fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the idea now is like you do your big
Super
like
CG.
show-stopping like action set piece in the middle, and then you focus more on an emotional stakes at the end, which I think in general works. So it's
So
not
is
always
that
true.
you,
but-
so you enjoyed that, the emotional aspect of the 10-minute death scene?
You know, it actually was pretty funny. Like I liked when he seemed dead and he's like, no, what? And he just couldn't quite go. I think I think that in combination within the long sequence of him being in that dreams space with Vanessa, I think that together was a little bit too much. If they had just done the death stuff up front, it might have been a little more.
That was the first time I had heard that rendition of "Take on Me" from Aha. That kind of slowed down
I
acapella
like that
version. That
version.
was
I like
really
that a
nice.
lot.
What's funny is I think it's a little different, but they also did a slowed down version for Ready Player One.
Oh, really?
Oh, they did in the dance sequence.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I was gonna say I liked it better in this movie.
Oh my!
Because of the emotional moment?
Because of the emotion, yeah.
The
I
music.
feel like, well, Chris, did you
What?
catch the Logan score playing during the death scene?
No, I didn't catch
Because
that.
someone talked about
What?
that.
Oh,
Yeah, that they
shit.
played the same song that they played when Logan died.
Even fucking better.
Yeah, and like
Frank,
if that was a
you
more
don't know
like
what you're talking
iconic
about.
song, then if I like connected that, I think I would have found that so much funnier. But in the fact that like that's such a niche joke.
That's really good.
It's great.
Mhm.
I will say that in general, I loved the music in this movie. I love the references to dubstep, and then it would like just chime in with some bangerang.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. The one that didn't quite work for me, I'm curious what you guys thought, was the use of "Tomorrow" right at the end when
Oh,
they're
tomorrow.
yeah when they're racing to try and stop Firefist from getting shot. Like I love those weird juxtapositions. That was the one that didn't quite like again. 9
Isn't
to
that what
5
they
was
play
great.
when we first see Cable though?
Is
In,
it?
in his future?
I don't think so.
I think yeah.
Oh, is she singing? His little girl is singing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was. It's
Yeah.
his daughter is
Oh,
singing
really?
Annie's
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
yeah.
Oh, I miss. When did that? Oh, maybe it was in the bathroom at that point. May explain why it didn't work.
Sorry,
for me.
my cock ring went flesh. So I had to-
Exactly.
I had to steal
Well,
it back up.
You didn't bring your catheter to the movie with you.
no,
Bring
no,
You didn't
I,
cath, man?
I discovered
Full
that
circle,
day you're
just
supposed
like a
to
cock
refresh
ring.
them. So I pulled it out and I hadn't put a new one in at that
See?
point.
All right. Well,
So- Learned.
speaking of having to go to the bathroom, I feel we've talked extensively. So
So
I
we've
think it's,
surpassed the movie at this point.
yes.
We have
So
not,
let's
actually.
It's
I've
kinda
been
become-
watching the clock.
let's
We haven't closed out yet.
close things out. Final thoughts, because also keep in mind we don't need to spend so much time because we have a week in
It's fine.
between this record and our next record. So yeah,
shit.
just final thoughts on Deadpool 2.
Oh, I loved it. I love all the Easter eggs. I thought it had a really cool tone, and that fucking Juggernaut song is hilarious.
Oh, holy shit!
Holy shit balls!
See? Great music all the way through. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was a good romp.
Mhm.
I do want to go see it again. I'm curious how I feel coming out the second time around. But yeah, I liked it. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, I thought that the first one set a pretty high standard because you had that element of surprise. Like we'd never seen anything like that in not just the Marvel U, but like with a superhero movie. And I don't think you can capture that lightning twice because you lose that element of surprise.
Yeah.
I think the first one was the better film, but I still thought this one was a lot of fun and really funny. And I thought that a couple elements were better than the original.
Not enough T.J. Miller in this one, guys.
Get out of here, Frank.
Quick tangent on that. I just felt like that character just is diminishing returns, and not just for whatever T.J. Miller does in his real life or whatever that, but just in the movie itself. I feel like the moments they tried to give him to be funny or kind of riff just fell flat.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. And I was just like,
I would agree with that.
It's definitely a good sign that he's probably not going to be in it anymore.
Well, and
It's like,
also, yeah, and to your point,
my
like I
Christopher
think that
Plummer.
he kind of the same way as like I think that the type of character that he is, and I mean, this should be a dig, but it isn't because he says that he's not an actor, right? He doesn't think of himself as an actor. He thinks of himself as a comedian, and I think that in a film or a TV show, when you see him, like he's T.J. Miller, so it's like there's only so often that like his like kind of offbeat way of delivering things is funny and surprising to me in a movie like this,
Yeah.
right? So I think he served his purpose, and
Steven Spielberg cast him, though.
in what?
And
Ready
Ready
Player
Player
One.
One. He's IROC.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm not saying like, you know, he's not my favorite for a lot of reasons, but like I think that for the point of this film, like I think he was in it a sufficient amount.
Oh, too
I
much for
didn't
me.
like need I didn't need more of him in this film.
Yeah.
And they have said he is not going to be in 3.
I saw that as well, and I was like, I will not miss that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Avengers: Infinity War. That was a movie that, even though I was kind of like, after I first saw it, I wanted to go see it again, and I did like it better the second time, leading up to what everybody says about those Marvel films. This one, I don't feel that same urge. I mean, I think I'll watch it again, probably when it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever. I'd probably pick it up and watch it again, but I don't feel that burning need to go watch it again while it's in the cinema.
Fair enough.
I mean, I feel a little better about the film after this conversation that we've had. I will probably go see it again, especially after like reading all the references there are. I want to go back and see if I can catch anything else.
Can I just say real quick? I'm really sad. Apparently, I missed the inclusion of Ruth Bader Ginsburg as a potential member of the X-Force.
Oh, were they holding up one of her photos?
I guess they hold up a photo. Yeah.
Oh, that's
This
amazing.
is also my obligatory plug for the film RBG, which my company
Well, I was
made.
talking
So-
about how we only have a week before we have our next record. That is our next record. is
Yeah,
RBG.
we're going to do
RBG.
the
We're
RBG spoiler special.
Notorious
Yeah.
RBG.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be a great time. Everyone go see RBG. in
The
the
most controversial entry into the MCU.
Yeah.
But maybe the most deserved.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, we keep cutting off camera before he can.
Oh, no, that
Oh,
was
that's
fine.
it. That's it.
Those are my words.
All right.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, like I feel like I'm just excited that now, after so many years of the X-Men films feeling sterile, especially in light of the development of like MCU and the terrible diminishing returns of the DCEU stuff, that the X-Men were sort of in this weird nebulous thing of sort of splitting the difference between being accepting all the bad stuff of the DCEU but acknowledging why the MCU works so well. And I feel like Deadpool, these two movies have been a step in the right direction for that franchise as a whole. To just see Deadpool be so successful, being so faithful to the characters, has really sort of invigorated the franchise as a whole. That I'm like, all right, cool. Like after 18 years, I'm still maybe even more excited to see these films than I was like maybe after X2.
Yeah, it gives him a nice shot of energy and
Yeah.
of play, a sense of play and playfulness. I think that that it needs. You kind of need that in this universe, right?
Well, and just fidelity to the characters and to their looks. Marvel's really shown how powerful that is, and to see finally someone in the X-Men universe accept that and go with it has been really fun. Because the X-Men are like, give me the craziest MCU storyline, the craziest Avengers storyline, and the X-Men did it 10 times crazier.
Oh yeah.
And so, like, the fact that they're finally embracing that this is a soap opera with people with mutant genes is awesome, and what we should see more of.
Yeah.
But I accept, Frank, that you might have not been the biggest of fans of it.
Oh, thanks. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I was just like, okay.
You hated every second of it. You were telling me that much.
That's true.
Earlier.
Speaking of seconds, just real quick, because why not do a less one on tangent and just derail this quickly? Avengers Infinity War, we said we were going to talk about that. We never really did. We might mention spoilers. In terms of when somebody did a post where they tracked everybody's character's screen time for how long each character appears. So, like, for example, Idris Elba, 45 seconds. That was it. Thanos, 29 minutes. I always felt like Captain America got the short end of the stick. How much do you think Chris Evans had in terms of where he's a focal point of a scene? Not if he's just in the background, but in terms of like he's doing something in the scene and he's integral to that.
Thanos
3
is-
minutes.
2.5 minutes.
You say
7.
6 minutes, 45 seconds.
Hey.
That was it. That was it for good old Chris
I mean,
Evans.
we would have lost Price is Right, but
Yeah, no, we went
it's
over.
a crowd vote.
Yeah. I should have bet $1.
I would have won in that case.
It's Vin Diesel,
Oh, no.
3 minutes and
I said
15
3.
seconds. So there you go.
Damn it.
I need more. I need more. Double that at least.
Oh, that's let's put this little button onto our conversation and something that's been released since we did our Avengers episode is James Gunn revealed Groot's last line.
Oh my gosh.
Motherfuck the
Wait,
Russo brothers.
I missed this. What was his last line?
Papa, can you hear me?
No.
It was,
Dad.
It was,
Dad?
Yeah, Dad.
That's what he's saying to Rocket is dad.
Which,
I read that it was I got a leaf.
so he
What do you
said,
make like a tree and go?
Branch.
he said dad. And so I did not realize either. Did you guys know that he's baby Groot is the son of Big Groot?
Yeah,
That
they
is
did
correct.
say the original Groot's dead. This is a different Groot.
So that's what they said. I didn't know that though until I read these
think
articles.
That was only confirmed relatively recently. I feel like that was confirmed
I didn't-
post
I-
so you didn't know
Guardians
that.
2.
You didn't know
Yeah.
you didn't know that like the whole time.
I knew
No.
that watching this movie, but I don't think I knew that even going into Guardians
Yeah, I
2.
didn't
No,
know
I'm
that.
finding this out for the first time
Wait,
right
so
now.
Okay.
do you think
That
does he
fucks
think
with my head
wait, so
royally.
does he think Rocket is his dad?
Yeah.
Or is he saying oh, okay.
Well, Rocket's the one who planted him in the thing and then grew him
He
from
is
a
his
sapling.
Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's
Right?
like it's super sad.
Yeah, that was interesting because from the comics.
Yeah, suck on that,
any-
Peter Parker. I don't want to go, Mr. Stark.
It's like, oh.
Frank, sorry.
Oh no, in the comics, he'd always just been kind of like the same consciousness, but just kind of like, oh, I'm just regrowing my body. But this, he plays it where it's just a new. It's like, oh,
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Very-
I was just accepting that.
what
Okay,
I
it's
thought.
it's
Do you guys
reborn, but still
think
the same.
That's what I thought too.
Do you
yeah.
guys think Spider-Man thought to himself, "Holy shit, this is how Uncle Ben felt"? Fucking laying in the fucking ground about to die, looking up at someone you care about.
Oh.
And that person let you down.
Oh wow, this is
You did this, Peter.
this
slash
is
Tony.
going-
That does it
real
for
heavy.
Deadpool 2.
What a heartfelt end to this
I know,
conversation.
right?
You know what? You know what?
We still got cock rings in there. We still got everything.
Well, I was
Yeah,
gonna say, you know
yeah.
what makes me feel better is plugging social media. That always
always.
makes me feel better when I'm having a bad day. So why don't we go around the table, everyone, talk about social media where we can find you both personally and your podcast. Fimbrez, why don't you tell us where
Oh
you can
yeah,
find the
you
podcast
know
at
what
Two
it
Worlds?
is. PO2W_Flash.
That's on Instagram and,
and
Twitter. And you can email us podcast twoworlds@gmail.com. Find me at Trevor Copter on all social media, and Chris is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, no, I'm off the grid.
The mystery.
Captain
Love it.
America.
You can find Tim Talk at Tim Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Gmail. I am personally at Lordifer on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me, if you want to see my art, it's at Cameron.Dexter. If you want to see my face, it's at CamDexter_adventures. Or if you want to see my shirts and stuff, it's at Core Memories Co.
Can
How about
we
your
just-
shirtless?
You have a third. That's new, right?
Yes, that's my new company.
Okay.
So I
They're
started
doing some really,
a
really
nerdy
awesome stuff.
apparel Yes, a nerdy apparel
such
shop.
as the one he's wearing right now.
Oh my
Also,
goodness!
And I assume you have free samples for the rest of us?
Do you
Yeah,
have enough
of
shirts for
course.
the class?
I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that Cameron is one who does all of our crossover art. And
Yes.
this is the
Amazing
first
job.
time that we have had the art prior to recording, and so I'm going to call out that it is amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cameron.
That's great.
Your Deadpool art is absolutely fantastic.
I mean, but I will say
Welcome
now
to
that
the big leagues,
we've
kid.
had this conversation, maybe a Colossus cock ring might have been more
I'll-
appropriate.
I'll work on that next.
Just work that in between your sweet Disney drawings.
Yeah.
Just big old Colossus cock ring.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, on that note, so first of all, I also
Amanda
want to say
at Colossus cock
that's,
ring
uh,
on Twitter and
that's-
Instagram.
it's surprising, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. Special thanks to Comics Shelf for the questions, guys. We always love recommendations. Let us know what you thought. If you disagree with Frank, please tell me. You can find us at you can tweet at us or whatever at Comic Book Novice, Instagram and Twitter. You can find Frank at.
Organic metal cock ring.
Nope. Incorrect.
.com.
Yeah, that come. Happy Go Jackie. And lastly, I know we're talking about Spider-Man death scenes. Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever they're going to call it. I would love it if we see on the desk just a picture of Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And Uncle Ben would be Tom Hanks. You never have to have him in the film, but you would just see Tom
down.
Hanks as Uncle Ben, and you
love
like
it.
that would fill in everything you'd need to know about Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I'm set.
All right.
Pretty great.
Where can we find you, Amanda?
You
you
can
didn't-
find
you-
me at Barnes Rights on Twitter for like personal musings, but that's me at Comic Book Novice as well, Instagram and Twitter, and you can email us at thenoviceandfrank@gmail.com.
Was that the social media of the fan who sent us those questions? What was it again?
Comics_shelf.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Yeah, like honestly, like that was awesome. Like the fact we have fan questions.
I love it. Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's great. And we also, like I said, we take recommendations and stuff too. It's kind of gotten us through a couple of times we don't know what to read. It's really nice to go through our emails and get some recommendations.
And which superheroes do you want to make sexual, paraphernalia? Let
yeah,
us know.
let us know, guys. Let us know, please. And bonus points for creativity.
That's right.
I'm gonna go Nightcrawler.
It's like a butt plug.
Yeah.
Just kind of pops.
It's just the tail. It's just the tail.
I was gonna say just pops in and out.
Oh.
But you can only get it at
Nice.
Catholic institutions.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is absolutely true.
So that does it. Again, since we are talking about sexual paraphernalia and social media, please email us any name you have for what our crossover should be named.
Oh yeah, we had some. Let's see, my friend.
Oh, you're
posted
holding on to
actually-
those for the end?
No,
What-
my friend JP actually made some suggestions.
Are we not going to call it the Colossus
a while back.
Cock Ring podcast?
Well, that's until something better comes around.
I thought when you mentioned that first, that you were saying, and we're sponsored by Adam and Eve now.
I'm like, oh, we made it.
I wish. Okay. So JP Karliak, who's a fabulous voice actor who voiced actually in the animated. He was a voice in the animated Killing Joke.
Oh.
Very. And
Was he
he's,
that? Was he?
He's also the voice of the
gay
boss.
best friend? Because it's the
Yes.
only. Was he?
He
'Cause it's the
was.
only person I could think of who didn't already have a cast member
He
like assigned
was.
to it.
Yep, and he is also the voice of the Boss Baby in the Boss Baby TV show.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and I know him. He's also voice of Wile E. Coyote from the new Looney Tunes show.
Aw,
So
awesome.
wonderful guy.
That doesn't check out.
He's-
Wile E. Coyote is completely silent.
And
Not
not
in
in
the
our
new
show.
one.
Yeah.
He's got
You're-
a lot to say.
We've been
great.
talking about fidelity to comic book characters all night and everything like that. You mean to tell me Wile E. Coyote is speaking?
Yes, he has a fantastic voice. I can't do it, JP. Call me and you do it.
I need to have JP on our podcast because words
You
need
have
to
words?
be said.
Yeah. JP's very, very talented. So you guys follow him, JP Karliak. That's JP Karliak. Thanks for suggesting The Infinite Six. And then he said,
Ooh.
too obvious, question mark. And then he said, then there's the Sinister Six. Or maybe the Six-Fingered Man Band.
I feel like Sinister Six is more on the nose than Infinite Six.
Yeah. So I said, kind of loving the Sinister Six. Good recommendations. And he said, just make sure you're Mysterio and not some idiot like Electro. That was his. That
Well,
was his
hey,
suggestion.
news out of the Hollywood
Oh,
trades
Gyllenhaal's
today.
Mm-hmm.
Gyllenhaal, Jakey Jill's up for the running for Mysterio. So
And
Amanda-
Keaton's gonna come back.
Yes.
Amanda, Jake Gyllenhaal could play you in the movie about our podcast
It's
one
everything
day.
I've always wanted.
You better have the fishbowl.
They're going to put a fishbowl over that beautiful, beautiful face.
If
I
they
think
don't do
I'll
the
break it
fishbowl, I'll be
at
angry.
least twice.
Oh.
God, I hope so.
Frank, would you be okay with Ultimate Mysterio?
No, I want full fishbowl.
come
That's what I want
on,
out of
I
a
lo-
Mysterio. I
Well,
want
I
full
mean-
fishbowl.
He's like,
But
it's
to be
full
fair,
fishbowl or it's nothing.
To be fair, hologram head Mysterio was Fishbowl Mysterio. The biggest twist of the Ultimate Comics.
Great.
Mysterio was the first person to cross over dimensions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does it. Thank you. This is our shortest break of the summer because we have 1 week until Solo comes out.
Yep.
Whew.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the Lando movie.
Lando.
Exactly.
I assume we're all going Thursday night. Everybody's got their tickets.
We're trying.
I gotta get that. Haven't
Yeah.
done it yet.
If I didn't see Deadpool Thursday night, I am seeing this Sunday afternoon.
Well, I guess I actually could go on Thursday night. It's just occurring to me now. Sorry, guys. I'm going out of town for the weekend, and I had it in my mind I was going a different day. Amanda, you're almost done with this. Just stay focused for half a second.
All right, but since this has been a little bit of the podcast of two worlds leading the way, we do have a singular way that we end our podcast, and that is to invoke the name of Speedweed, Berlanti, executive producer of the Arrowverse. So on the count of three, if you guys will indulge us in this. 1, 2, 3.
Speedweed.